Part 216. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2155. Detonate 2 bombs at the same time. How much fine operation and control is required? No wonder the explosion is so powerful. And he said, it can also detonate 3 or even 4 bombs at the same time. The strong creature with strong arms looked surprised for a while, then laughed bitterly, shook its head and backed away. He didn't know if Jia Yan was bragging. Regardless of whether he was bragging or not, he also understood that he could never continue this battle. Otherwise, if he participated in the battle between the middle-level peaks of the galaxy, he would have a slight chance of being killed. Kill. The agreement between the two parties is an agreement, but since you, a strong man whose strength has declined greatly, still come out to show off your power, do you want to play with the rules and think that no one dares to kill you? Sorry, in this case, it's hard to say anything even if I kill your domain lord. Otherwise, every mid-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy who has been beaten half to death still trembles on the battlefield, and no one dares to touch him. Please, that's just playing house, not war. The roundworm creature was the last strong man left in the scene, but he was solemn but had no idea of retreating. He is a kind of last show of face, rather than retreating, because he also chooses to withdraw from the battle, then these 3 people will lose all their face. The result of this battle is not a draw, but a huge defeat on their side. Everyone among them knows the actual situation. It's just that they don't want to use their trump card and they don't want to get hurt again. If they really want to continue the fight, they can guarantee that Jia Yan will still escape in all likelihood. The strong is strong. After fighting for a while, you will have a mysterious feeling. Even if both sides do not fully use their trump cards, most of the feelings are still accurate. Of course, variables always exist, and even certain joint issues or emotional changes can lead to big surprises. But now they are indeed not fighting for life and death, so the 2 powerhouses at the top of the middle-level galaxy, to evacuate first, he must earn respect for the 3 of them. Well. In the subspace at this end, Jia Yan sighed slightly. He knew what he should say. The opponent does not really want to fight, nor does he really want to compete with him. Up to now, both sides feel that they are almost the same. Jia Yan has won the biggest victory. Even if it is a draw, he has won, and the opponent needs just a sentence from Jia Yan. If Jia Yan doesn't say anything, this roundworm creature might really start a life-or-death battle with Jia Yan. Your Mightiness. Jia Yan spoke calmly in the subspace. We have collided for a few rounds. I am very grateful to the 2 of you for thinking highly of me, Jia Yan, and taking the initiative to withdraw from the battlefield. I think, how about it just be a draw? I admire your fighting ability and your fighting level. If I have the opportunity in the future, I'll ask for advice. In fact, Jia Yan also knew that it was difficult to take down the roundworm creature. His fighting method of spitting out liquid, and even the 2 meteorite explosives he fired at the same time, it seemed that it was difficult to hurt him. However, when he said that 3 meteorites were fired at the same time, it was possible. So a hint of possibility, but 4, 5. Sorry, Jia Yan's ability to control meteorites is not yet at that level. Besides, it is enough for them, the top mid-level warriors in the galaxy, to fight to this extent. This is not a life-or-death battle for them. Hearing Jia Yan's words, it was as if Jia Yan was the first to ask for peace. In this way, the embarrassment of the 2 middle-level peak powerhouses of the 2 major galaxies being forced out by Jia Yan would be resolved. The roundworm creature suddenly smiled slightly. Very good. Although this Jia Yan was just promoted to the top of the galaxy intermediate level, he was still very good. He breathed a sigh of relief. Your Excellency Jia Yan, we also admire your fighting power very much. You can compete with my 3 strong men with 1 person's strength and still stand firm, which is enough to compare with the black sheep of your power. Since you are willing to end with a draw, then let's let it be a draw and let's discuss it again next time we have the opportunity. Good. Phew. After the roundworm creature and Jia Yan said the above words, they both retreated violently. Jia Yan also flew out of the normal space of the universe from the subspace, and entered his own black mist position in an instant. The roundworm creature also retreated into the position, but before returning, it looked back and took a deep look at Jia Yan's body entering the black mist. He felt that this new powerful person in the Zerg Queen's force would be a big trouble in the future. After all, he had just been promoted not long ago. In this battle, the roundworm commander creature saw too many possibilities in Jia Yan. Sex. Whether it is the unique subspace combat method, the astonishing forward and reverse explosion capabilities of meteorites, or the assassination ability of the creature with strong arms that suddenly attacked from subspace, they are all full of fear. No matter which one of these, as long as Jia Yan continues to study, his achievements will be limitless. But if everyone wants to catch them, there are two possibilities. One of them is that the one who chases the two rabbits will not be able to catch either one, and they will all become mediocre and become a useless strong man. Another possibility is that everything becomes extremely strong, and in the future it will really become a terrifying and powerful person. Hopefully, it won't be the latter possibility. Of course, as long as we don't continue to become enemies in the future, then the latter possibility is also good. Wouldn't it be nice to make the central star field of the Milky Way a little more lively? This roundworm expert faintly retreated into the black mist. When the strong men on both sides agreed and no longer talked about who would win, but acquiesced in a draw, there was silence around the entire battlefield. Then, on the Zerg Queen's side, a large number of biological soldiers burst into earth-shattering cheers in an instant. Ha ha ha! Win! Long live Lord Jia Yan! We won! Ha 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 ha! If we call it a draw, we're not worried about saving face. It's amazing. Master Jia Yan actually defeated 3 powerful opponents by himself. Isn't this stronger than Master Black Sheep? Well, I said the wrong thing. It's amazing. I feel that Lord Jia Yan is really no weaker than other adults. And don't forget that Lord Jia Yan is just a peak mid-level star in the galaxy who has just been promoted. It's so terrifying. I feel that in the future our Zerg Queen force will have one more powerful middle-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy. Ha ha ha, hurry up and send back the information. Several other troops are still waiting for feedback from this battle. Compared with the ecstatic sound on the Zerg Queen's force position, the 2 major domain lord level forces coalition forces were in a state of mourning, and everyone's expressions were extremely ugly. Especially those strong men who have always been looked down upon by the power of the Zerg Queen feel ashamed. At the very beginning of this war, they were beaten like dogs by the strong men of the same level as the Zerg Queen, because every strong man of the Zerg Queen's force came from the countryside. Although the fighting system was they were in chaos and fought purely by instinct. The victory was due to their extremely rich fighting experience. The strong men of the 2 major forces almost doubted their lives. Now that the war has finally progressed to the later stage, each of the powerful domain lord level forces has gradually aligned their combat effectiveness with their original strength. This time, everyone has held back their strength, preparing to let the Zerg Queen's powerful forces people, let's see their true strength. Unexpectedly, before the real battle had begun, the battle between the top-level experts was like a basin of cold water, pouring them all over their bodies and faces. It's uncomfortable. These strong men only feel that their enthusiasm has cooled down a bit. They even wonder whether the improvement in combat power they think they have is still not so useful in front of so many strong men of the same level with the power of the Zerg Queen. Throughout the war, the morale of both sides turned into the Zerg Queen's side, and their enthusiasm was high because of this battle between the most powerful ones. Yes, I am Jia Yan, haha, it's just good luck. I got a small draw by chance. You also know that these powerful enemies are not willing to give up their energy, their trump cards, and their reputation. This kind of under such circumstances, if my fighting power cannot be used at 50%, it is natural that I will win. If it is a life and death battle, it is hard to say. As soon as Jia Yan returned to the Black Mist, he had a conversation with the strong men from the side armies at the top of the two middle-level galaxies. They were using special military-grade lines that had been laid long ago, and the distance between the two armies was less than a light year, so although there was a certain delay, it was not that serious. No, Your Excellency Jia Yan, I actually heard the signal carrier say just now that you had a fierce battle with them, and I thought you were going to lose. I didn't expect you actually won. It's really amazing. I feel ashamed of myself. Haha, I think so too. I had already prepared the partial army I led to retreat to the next front. After all, if we lose, we have to retreat. The two experts at the top of the middle level of the galaxy were a little shocked that Jia Yan won this battle. Because they had been in contact with Jia Yan for a few days and secretly discussed the current battle plan with the horns of the triangle below each other, they still had a certain understanding of Jia Yan. At least they thought before that even if they were weaker than Jia Yan, they couldn't be much weaker. If they were to fight, it would depend on the abilities of both parties. Unexpectedly, they could not fight 1 against 3, but Jia Yan actually did it. What's more, 2 of the 3 were the enemy's commander-in-chief. In a sense, these 2 strong men were stronger than the average enemy in the galaxy. Those who are at the top of the level must be much stronger. In other words, Jia Yan's strength was far stronger than they imagined. In the universe, especially in the circle of strong men, strength is always the main theme. Although Jia Yan had some recognition from them before, it was impossible. There was a more effective way to prove himself with strength now. Therefore, when the 2 powerful men spoke to Jia Yan, they both showed a hint of respect. After all, this Jia Yan has already defeated the 3 top mid-level players in the galaxy. He has just been promoted to the top of the mid-level galaxy. Will he increase his strength in the foreseeable future? You two, we are old friends, so there is no need to brag now. Haha, come on, let's continue to discuss the war. We have not withdrawn, so it will be more difficult for the enemy to break through this tighter line of defense. Now, as long as we wait until the rear area is searched more cleanly, then retreating is the best option. It is probably impossible for them to reorganize the attack immediately, and besides, they also promised me that they will wait. Jia Yan took out the interstellar drawings. The map marked several important planets behind this front, including the commercial star that Jia Yan himself had a share in. He smiled and classified the business star as the next priority protection target. He calmly explained the defense strategy to the 2 of them. The 2 of them also pretended to be confused and focused on the business star that Jia Yan paid dividends. Focus on defense, the purpose is to let Jia Yan get more benefits. Even if the Zerg Queen knew about these situations, she would probably turn a blind eye, because Jia Yan is the commander-in-chief and has made contributions. He is a heroic figure. How could she have any unpopular reaction? Without Jia Yan's battle, commercial star and a large number of other planets might have been recaptured by the enemy. Very good. Let's hold on for half a month and search as hard as we can. Then we'll take the initiative to retreat. A large retreat is the core purpose of the Zerg Queen's force. Jia Yan would not say that he would just stand in front of the enemy and occupy the rear forever. This is not possible and does not need to be done. The impossible reason is that the 2 major domain lord level forces understand that the people of the Zerg Queen will not permanently occupy their territory, so they do not use all their strength to take action. They really show that they want to seize their territory forever. If they gain a foothold here, it is estimated that, not to mention that the peak of the middle-level galaxy has an agreement to fight to the death, even the 2 major domain lords themselves will jump out and fight to the death for this benefit. As for the Zerg Queen's forces, which do not have much overall strength. I am afraid that the Zerg Queen herself will be in danger when there are more enemies than ourselves. In the end, the entire army will be annihilated, or the remaining army will retreat in defeat. So they don't really want to come here to stay apart forever. Besides, the best thing you can do is to search for something that can be completed quickly and then leave. After the other party takes it back, it will take dozens or hundreds of years to develop slowly. The power of the Zerg Queen should be given more time. It also wants to develop slowly, so it is better to leave. This is why there is no need to stay for a while. Not a good deal. Therefore, retreating after half a month is a very perfect time. It can not only loot everything, but also not anger the opponent by staying too long. Within half a month after that. Sure enough, just as Jia Yan had guessed, the two enemy armies acquiesced to the actions of Jia Yan's frontline troops, and there was no movement at all for at least half a month. Only in the partial divisions, wars were taking place every day. Even the two largest partial divisions led by the two top mid-level galaxies had a big battle, resulting in countless casualties. As for Jia Yan, although he wanted to use the triangle law as originally envisaged, things often backfired. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2157. Because as soon as the partial division starts fighting, some troops and strong men will be dispatched on our side. But every time this happens, there will be several strong men from the top of the middle-level galaxy, especially those from the two major middle-level peaks of the galaxy. The commander-in-chief will come to the front of the formation and look calmly at the Zerg Queen's troops who are about to move. Under such circumstances, Jia Yan sighed, knowing that he could not act rashly, at least when the enemy was in dire straits, he would not be allowed to join the battle group. So he didn't move. Moreover, if Jia Yan did not move, the enemy's main force could not move either. Even their partial divisions suffered a lot of casualties. But if the troops held back by Jia Yan alone dared to move, the main force led by Jia Yan would not move. It can also move, and it also dominates public opinion. After all, the other party promised not to push back the Zerg Queen's forces for the time being. If they fight with all their strength, what does that mean? However, within half a month, the enemy's total troop strength still seemed to be pressing forward step by step. It seems to be saying, half a month is almost here. Once half a month is up, if you don't retreat, it will be a fight to the death. Therefore, on the 14th day of the month, Jia Yan announced to the frontline troops, including all partial divisions. The entire army retreats. And Jia Yan is now on this front line, and his status can be said to be completely comparable to that of Black Sheep. And because he is more responsible than Black Sheep, he is not like Black Sheep in leaving such a large battlefield. Ran for promotion, and since then, his reputation is still vaguely better. After all, those who turn to Jia Yan have very good reasons. It is one thing that Jia Yan is a better person than Black Sheep. Another thing is that, with his record, on the surface, his combat effectiveness is not weaker than that of Black Sheep. He's a Black Sheep. Who wouldn't be attached to such a strong man? Of course, Black Sheep is being promoted. If he succeeds in being promoted to Territory Lord, it is unknown what the big guys will choose. At least for now, their attitude towards Jia Yan is still okay. As a result, the entire army suddenly changed from standing in front of the enemy's formation to retreating in an orderly manner. As for the enemy, they watched with cold eyes. None of them really wanted to take advantage of the situation to attack, because the enemy also had to guard against any ambush by the Zerg Queen's forces, and they also had to be on guard against the Zerg Queen's forces who were retreating in an orderly manner. Come back and bite back. If you are really ambushed and fight, then there will be a big problem. Therefore, both sides are relatively calm and restrained. One retreats and the other waits for a period of time to fill the gap left by the enemy's retreat. These resources have been dug up by the Zerg Queen's forces, turning them into a poor star. On a certain planet, 3 powerful men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy who had just recovered this place were standing there dumbfounded. The people of the Zerg Queen's force originally thought that they were a big force at least. No matter how good their style was, they should not be so absolute. But they never expected that these guys would really dare to do it and use a good resource star. Dug into a nearly thirsty waste star. Don't worry, haven't we already anticipated these things? What's more, this kind of resource planet can be dug dry wherever they want. You see, the surface of the planet has only been dug up, and the core area underneath, there are so many more. One of the strong men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy seemed to be a person who knew a lot about resources. After comforting his comrades around him, he blasted away the surface of the planet with one blow. The bottom is completely rich in minerals, which proves what he said is true. I see, that's right. On such a planet, if the guys from the Zerg Queen's forces want to mine the deep mines underneath, it will cost too much human capital. Besides, they can't take away so many things. It is estimated that other planets it's the same thing, then if we recover it, there won't be much loss. Another strong man at the top of the middle-level galaxy suddenly nodded with relief. For them, they are afraid that if the people from the Zerg Queen's force have a way to bring all the resources in this occupied area into their energy circle, they will not be able to bear it. But when you think about it, you know it's impossible. If the Zerg Queen forces want to consume such a huge starry sky, how many manpower will they need? Even their territory lord level forces cannot consume it in a short while. The Zerg Queen forces don't have enough manpower. War simply cannot consume them all. Of course, in the occupied area this time, there were still large tracts of ordinary people and powerful people who followed the footsteps of the Zerg Queen and left the starry sky together. They were all people who had defected to the Zerg Queen force or helped the Zerg Queen force do a lot of work during the few years that the Zerg Queen force had ruled. They were afraid that when this starry sky returned to the hands of the domain lord level force, it would being liquidated by others. He dragged his family to join the Zerg Queen's force. Of course, both sides are prepared for this kind of thing. There is nothing surprising, and it is just population. There are as many domain lord level forces as there are, and only a part of the galaxy level powerhouses have followed the Zerg Queen's forces, which makes them feel a little sad. In short, this is a war. Since it has happened, it is normal to suffer losses. Being invaded or something, to be able to fight to the extent of regaining the homeland, if you really want to say it, these domain lord level forces should be lucky. Not the entire force was destroyed. Well, the next planet will probably be like this. The actual situation is much better than we imagined. The Zerg Queen's forces really have neither manpower nor equipment. In this case, the next battle will be difficult. Don't push too hard, just treat it as a gangster who comes to make a profit. Among the powerful people at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, there was actually the powerful commander who looked like a hairtail fish. It was when Jia Yan commanded the army to retreat that they came to assess the existence of certain planets that were originally occupied. If the people from the Zerg Queen's force make the occupied area miserable, they will take revenge as much as possible, such as making it more difficult for Jia Yan's army to retreat, or doing their best to destroy them. Of course, if he kills one of the top mid-level warriors in the galaxy, he will talk to the Zerg Queen beforehand and say that it is for revenge. But now, it seems that the loss is not as big as imagined, so they don't have to deal with the people from the Zerg Queen's force so hard. Huh? The domain-level forces don't seem to be chasing them so closely anymore, so we should be able to retreat to the second front more calmly. The whole army of the Zerg Queen controlled by Jia Yan felt relaxed, because the two coalition forces of domain lord level existence that had been biting everyone became a little bit more relaxed. Except for a certain group of senior leaders, the other powerful people didn't know that they didn't grab too many things at all. They thought that something had happened to the enemy. This retreat of the Zerg Queen's forces was of course a good thing. Everyone was, I feel, quite happy. Master Jia Yan, it is just as you said. When the enemy saw the planet retreated to them in our first line of defense area, they relaxed their pursuit pressure a little. Awesome, this can be said to be the wisdom of Mr. Jia Yan. Except for the commercial star, almost all our planets are not too exploitative, but send as many machines as possible to the last line of defense. That is, we really have never thought of the idea of exploiting and mining the planet there as a line of defense in front of the energy circle. Several middle-level galactic experts pursued Jia Yan along the way in the black mist position of the Zerg Queen's forces. In fact, it cannot be said that they are kneeling and looking blindly, because there are really many factors of admiration in it. Jia Yan has been leading the entire army from the very beginning, and despite feeling a little green, after leading the army for many days, he is now a qualified commander and has made many good decisions, each of which is impressive. The Zerg Queen's army has minimized losses. It is said that even the Queen of the Zerg in the rear area was amazed by Jia Yan's performance in this battle. She praised Jia Yan's achievements in several internal meetings. It looked like the Queen of the Zerg herself. Recognition of Jia Yan: if nothing unexpected happens, Jia Yan will have great development in the future. Therefore, these middle-level experts in the galaxy began to gradually become friendly to Jia Yan without losing a certain distance. This is of course, the battle between Jia Yan and Black Sheep in the energy circle, and the various deeds between them in the past, as Jia Yan was promoted to the peak of the middle level of the galaxy, and gradually gained a certain status. The entire Zerg Queen force internal, everyone knows it. In the overt and covert struggle between Jia Yan and Black Sheep, no one dared to seek refuge with Jia Yan without a real outcome. Especially Black Sheep, he is currently in seclusion to attack the Domain Lord level. If he succeeds in his attack, the problem will be too big. If Jia Yan dares not to escape immediately, Black Sheep will be the first person immediately after his promotion. The most powerful person will be Jia Yan. However, the Territory Lord level is definitely so easy to impact. Not even one of the 50 peak mid-level galactic experts may be able to successfully reach the Territory Lord level. Although Black Sheep's talent is good, if he wants to be successfully promoted to the Territory Lord level, it depends on his luck, or even if he can succeed, if time is wasted for too long, Jia Yan will grow up and prepare to start attacking the Domain Master. In that case, there is really no telling who everyone will choose. Haha, don't flatter me. I just thought of this on the spur of the moment. In addition, you must keep it a secret regarding our secret transportation of machinery to the rear. If the enemy knows this information, they will probably go crazy. It's possible. People who reveal secrets, you know what I mean. Jia Yan was now in front of these powerful men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy. He looked calm, as if he was used to this kind of war. In fact, it can't be said that he is not used to it, because he has experienced many such wars, so rather than being used to it now, it is better to say that Jia Yan has long been used to this feeling of war. His approach was actually very simple. It was also a temporary method he came up with before when he felt that the enemy was a bit aggressive. Anyway, as the enemy expected, the Zerg Queen's power is short of machines and manpower to mine resources, and she has to be distracted from the current war. Naturally, it is impossible to dig out all the planets. In this case, digging the planets on the front line will make the enemy angry, which may cause problems in future retreats, and the enemy's offensive will be strengthened. So, is it possible to put all the manpower and equipment away to the other planet? In this way, the enemy will relax, and the subsequent excavation time and efficiency will be guaranteed. Wouldn't the benefits be even greater? Of course, Jia Yan's behavior did not include the business star that he had defeated. I remember that he was still on that planet and had used force to frighten many forces and people. How can people remember a place they miss so much without digging it into ruins? So that commercial star was the only planet in the previous front area that was completely dug up by the Zerg Queen's forces, and even the star core was almost taken out. Of course, not to mention the Zerg Queen's side, even the enemy has already heard about the fact that Jia Yan is the owner of the commercial star resources, so he would do such a thing for his own benefit. The enemy understands the interests very well. Otherwise, why would Jia Yan be such a war commander? If he doesn't even care about his own interests, he will be a saint. And according to rumors, Jia Yan seems to have discussed another thing with the Zerg Queen, the leader of their forces, through the secret high-level communication network within their front. That is, he requires that there must be a planet like this behind every front. Give it to him, otherwise Jia Yan will not be willing to direct the war with all his strength. No one knows whether the Zerg Queen has agreed to such an unreasonable request, but it is a bit intriguing that such an important piece of information would be revealed to the outside world. Anyway, Jia Yan will not admit that this information was revealed by himself, and it was definitely not used to force the palace. Jia Yan is not that kind of person. It's just that the Zerg Queen was very generous. She found Shuyuan and indeed gave him key resource stars behind each front, which made Jia Yan grateful. Okay, you go down and allocate resources. I'll think about the key to the war. Jia Yan waved his foot and drove away some of the galaxy's mid-level men. After these people left, Jia Yan silently practiced in the Commander-in-Chief's room of Hiwu. Thinking about war? He is not that diligent. He is not fighting this battle for himself. What is the need for him to fight hard for the resources of the Zerg Queen's power? Besides, even if I don't work hard now, I seem to be doing well, so why don't I practice hard during my alone time? Jia Yan said that he has done very well and his current thought is to practice hard. Still looking for the free novel Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky? Baidu Direct Search, reading novels is easy. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2158. Black Sheep is said to have caused another burst of movement in the energy circle, and seems to be getting closer to the Domain Lord level. The pressure he put on him was actually greater than the pressure put on him by other strong men in the war, so Jia Yan couldn't help but become a little anxious. Although it was impossible for him to reach the level of being close to the Territory Lord in a short period of time, Jia Yan was able to digest the combat experience from the previous battle, especially the combat sense against the peak mid-level warriors of the galaxy, and integrate it into his own. In this way, you will have more confidence when dealing with strong people. But if Black Sheep is promoted successfully, then Jia Yan will definitely not care about anything. When he hears the news, he will turn around and run into the subspace. After all, no matter how strong he becomes, facing a real Domain Lord level, even one that has just been successfully promoted to Domain Lord level, Jia Yan, who has had many dealings with Domain Lords, knows very well, no matter how strong he is, he can't win. Of course, he has escaped from the hands of the Territory Lord several times, and it was all done by the Intermediate Galaxy, not to mention that he is now at the peak of the Intermediate Galaxy. So if Black Sheep is really promoted, he won't be too afraid. What I am doing now, first of all, is to cultivate and become stronger myself. Although it is impossible to win against the Territory Lord before being promoted to Territory Lord, and it is almost impossible to have the same ability to fight across levels as before, but the stronger I am, the higher the possibility of confronting the Territory Lord. For example, if I am promoted to the top of the Intermediate Galaxy and am about to break through to the Territory Lord, then I can guarantee that even if I am not strong enough to defeat the most powerful weak domain masters, but you can still do it by taking 1 or 2 moves from them and then calmly retreating into the subspace to escape. In other words, he practiced hard in order to have more self-protection ability when encountering the Domain Lord. The stronger the self-preservation ability, the higher the ability. As long as he reaches the almost promotion strength of the peak of Galaxy intermediate level, he feels, even if he were to face the Zerg Queen, he would have the possibility of escaping. This is the reason why Jia Yan is practicing crazily now. As for the position of War Commander? What the hell is this? The Zerg Queen's power is just a springboard to help provide resources for herself. If she still had some thoughts of repaying her gratitude at the beginning, these thoughts came to her several times when she was hunted down or had conflicts with the Black Sheep. Even when she was persecuted and the Zerg Queen and the forces behind her were indifferent, those gratitudes had long since disappeared. Besides, Jia Yan did help the other party a lot. He must have commanded another battle now, fighting so many mid-level peak enemies in the galaxy. No matter how great the favor was, it must have been repaid. Resources. As long as the resources are provided enough, I will continue to do it, but if they are not provided, I will leave. It's just the Queen of the Zerg. Jia Yan is still willing to work with them despite a little bit of old feelings. But with a Black Sheep who can be promoted anytime and anywhere and kill himself, Jia Yan's work is not so secure. As long as he is a little bit, if he was a little unhappy, he would definitely leave directly without looking back. Anyway, Jia Yan has traveled a lot in the galaxy's central star territory. Even if he is left to work alone now, there must be a way to survive. If it is impossible to return to the Peace Star territory, where he has his base. Jia Yan returned to the Zerg Queen's forces because he wanted to take revenge. In fact, before he started the war with Black Sheep, he still had some illusions. For example, his combat power after reaching the peak of the middle-level galaxy would be just like what he had before. When you reach each major stage, you can kill the enemy in an instant and blow up the Black Sheep in the air. Then the Zerg Queen was shocked, and there were gasps all around. Then the Zerg Queen said, "Originally, I wanted to save the Black Sheep, but Jia Yan, you are too fast. This is the strongest man in the universe. If he is not dead, I will blame you, but if he dies, I will not pursue it." Then he showed off his power and killed the enemies of the 2 Territory Lord forces who sneaked up on him. Afterwards, he worked hard to cultivate to the point where he was promoted to the peak of the middle level of the galaxy. He jumped over the level and killed a Territory Lord, so that everyone in the Zerg Queen's forces regarded him as a great god. In the end, she was promoted to Territory Lord, and even the Zerg Queen said she was no match for her. Alright. In fact, Jia Yan knew it after fighting Black Sheep. I think too much. Beings who can cultivate to the peak of the middle level of the galaxy are still like Black Sheep. The peak of the middle level of the galaxy, whose combat power and wisdom are praised by everyone, are exactly like Jia Yan. They are the most talented beings among countless strong people. He only won a small victory, and he only won by using his unique fighting skills because the opponent was a little underestimated. If he really wanted to fight to the death, Jia Yan felt that he would probably have to kneel down that day. So Jia Yan is now practicing hard, and at the same time thinking about whether this wave of Zerg Queen forces have survived the war, whether he will accompany them to develop in other areas as previously planned, or whether he will just leave. No, it's really not cost-effective to leave. In the end, Jia Yan felt that he still had to stop for a while before Black Sheep was promoted. Territory Lords are not easily promoted. What if Black Sheep fails? The reason why he did not leave the Zerg Queen's power was also very simple. Because the Zerg Queen is definitely the most ideal force for their group. What is their purpose in coming to the central star field of the Milky Way? Isn't it just to improve yourself? Of course, it is not necessarily impossible to join other forces, but the problem is that if you add a strong man from outside the middle level of the galaxy, you will definitely be wary if you join a Domain Lord level force, for fear that you, an outsider, will be defeated by the domain one day. The main creature is killed. But what if the non-domain lord level forces have gone to someone else's house? Be on an equal footing with you and give you the benefits? Impossible. Therefore, it would be really embarrassing for mid-level peak powerhouses like them to hang out in this star field. It would be of little use for such bad forces, such as the current yin-yang sect, to join them. But there is some help. After joining and being suppressed by others, a domain lord level being will never trust a mid-level peak powerhouse from the outside world so easily. This will take an unknown amount of time to be loyal and slowly change. The fate of cannon fodder. Of course, saying that a force like the yin-yang sect is bad does not mean that the current situation of the yin-yang sect is actually quite good. It can contribute a lot of resources to Jia Yan. To put it seriously, compared to what he is doing now, the Zerg Queen is a member of the force and needs a lot of resources. But the problem is, there is a peaceful star field, there is no communication, no fighting, and no skills and guidance. Such speed of cultivation is completely half the result with twice the effort. And what does the Zerg Queen have here? There are exchanges, guidance from great gods, countless strong men and robbers, well, exchanges of information and cultivation secrets, etc. The most important thing is that they have the same philosophy. They are not preparing to become a big force in the central star field of the Milky Way, but they are preparing to go around the central star field of the Milky Way, looking for opportunities everywhere, and meeting powerful people from all over the place. Or, then break through quickly together. If you just join the territory lord level forces in a corner, compared to the vitality and growth of the Zerg Queen's forces, it is really far behind. In summary, Jia Yan really doesn't want to give up the power of the Zerg Queen, there are too many benefits. Okay, anyway, there is nothing wrong with me practicing hard. As for the war, with my previous ecstasy technique, the other party will probably not get angry again for a while. It's fun. This way, I can probably persist for a few months. Time. Jia Yan wonders if the third front on the Zerg Queen's energy circle can complete the search within the next few months. If the search is complete, then they can evacuate to the third front and leave directly. Even if the enemy wants to find out, it will probably be a month later. Then we will have to deal with the headache of how to fight. In my current subspace, there are a lot of resources collected from the commercial star, especially high-level energy. It is twice as much as what I collected in the entire half a year when I was in the yin-yang section above. War is indeed a good opportunity to make fortune. The resources in Jia Yan's hands are really beyond his imagination. Especially for the commercial star, everyone originally thought that Jia Yan's evacuated troops would be treated the same as other planets and simply looted them. Therefore, many big forces, who thought they were smart, with a lot of property and resources were buried underground, and some caravans, knowing that there was a war here, quietly docked merchant ships nearby. Anyway, people from the Zerg Queen's force seemed to adopt a non-robbery attitude towards caravans from other planets. But they didn't expect that it would not be like that for the commercial star. When Jia Yan originally issued the order, he felt embarrassed. After all, he treated the place differently and it was a place under his name. However, with this embarrassing thought, he became cruel when he learned that the commercial star had been resisting during the 2 years since he left, and even the whole people broke out into conflicts. Scraping the ground 3 feet away is not enough to describe the tragic situation. However, it is precisely because of these searches that Jia Yan now has resources that are nearly half the size of a planet. Pile them together, with a diameter of 50 kilometers. They are all valuable things, bigger than me. Sure enough, on a normal commercial planet, the benefits obtained are much greater than on all other planets. Jia Yan sighed and took a look at the resources in the subspace. There were many good things among them, which made him feel a little excited. No wonder, in the peaceful star field of Yin-Yang sect, Several major galaxy-level forces were determined to protect the commercial star under their control. Jia Yan almost wanted to turn around and cause trouble for those commercial stars. After all, it was a planet he managed. But after thinking about it, forget it. Everyone has returned to the Zerg Queen's force. It would be a waste of time to run back. Besides, the commercial star here is completely different from the commercial star in the peaceful star field. The area established by his yin-yang sect is not prosperous in the first place, and it is not a commercial route. No matter how developed the commercial star is, it would be good to have 1/10 of this commercial star. In addition, there are no territory lord level existences in that star field, and there are even fewer powerful people. No matter how many cultivation resources there will not be many high-level people. After all, the merchants have gone, and I don't know who to sell them to. Thinking about it this way, even if Jia Yan turned around and searched all the commercial stars of the yin-yang sect under his hands, he might not gain as much as he did by searching this commercial star this time. Wow! In the black mist, Jia Yan grabbed some ores from a pile of resources 50 kilometers long. This is a mineral stocked by a large business group on the surface of the commercial star. It is an important high-energy material transported and has a wide range of uses. It was originally planned to be sold to the two major forces as reconstruction materials after the war. I didn't expect that I would catch them all. They used them for other purposes, but I could use them directly to absorb them. Creak. Jia Yan moved his mouthpiece closer, and he sucked part of the ore into his mouth. Then, a look of enjoyment appeared on the giant mosquito's expression. It feels so good. It's like eating snacks, and it's good for improving my body. I can eat these snacks every day for at least a few months, and my strength will also improve. Probably Jia Yan has never felt such a happy feeling. Most of the large amount of resources are materials that can increase his energy, or energy sources that are good for the body. No matter how bad they are just like snacks that taste good. Ever since, the cultivation that Jia Yan was talking about was slowly passed by eating and eating while reviewing the process with several middle-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy. If this kind of cultivation method were known to other strong people, they would probably vomit blood, cry out, "How can there be such a comfortable cultivation method," and then die of anger. Of course, Jia Yan's cultivation will not be so easy, but isn't this the period of rapid progress after his breakthrough? There is no need for other cultivation methods. He just needs to stabilize his energy and then find a way to improve his combat effectiveness. Other things cannot do. When you are in pain, such as when you are mutated, other people may look at you and cast a shadow on you, so there is nothing to envy. For a month, local wars broke out occasionally, and they were deliberately controlled by both sides, and the situation gradually passed without too many casualties. However, looking for the book when 1 month has just arrived, along with a piece of intelligence from the Zerg Queen's forces in the rear, that is, close to the energy circle, was transmitted to the enemy's base camp, the entire situation suddenly changed. There has been another major change. Bang! A bowl used by a huge creature was broken. What a Jia Yan! You actually deceived us like this. Ha ha ha, I knew it, I knew that the person who took away 3 feet of that business star and territory could be so kind. Looking at it now, he is simply a wolf-hearted person. He actually didn't search the front positions, but concealed the news and searched hard in the rear. With all the machines activated, many planets shrank in size. Asshole! We shouldn't believe him. Still looking for the free novel Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky? Baidu Direct Search, reading novels is easy. Equals. Reborn as an Interstellar Giant Mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2159. A nice dinner party for Domain Lord level forces was interrupted by rumors of the death of an agent who had infiltrated behind enemy lines of the Zerg Queen's forces. It is said that dozens of agents behind enemy lines who passed on this information died in one breath, bypassing heavy defenses and evading a large number of networks. Only then did they have the opportunity to connect to their agent's dedicated network to deliver this message. Come. So this is a message stained with blood. And informational words are indeed of extremely high value. This guy Jia Yan. Something is happening. Fight. Prepare your army quickly and wipe out the entire army of the Zerg Queen. I will take down more than half of the strong men below the galaxy level. Kill the strong men above the galaxy level if you can. I want Jia Yan to do it. You know, our two major forces are not so easy to deceive. The hairtail-like creature was so anxious that it jumped up and was about to take action. On the other side, the roundworm-like commander-in-chief of another domain lord-level force also calmed down after his expression changed. Faced with the anxiety of the hairtail-like creature, he remained calm and composed. Because he knew that the place where the Zerg Queen's energy circle was located was the old territory of the hairtail creature's force, and it had nothing to do with the territory they had been invaded by, so he didn't need to worry at all. Besides, what's the use of being anxious? If Jia Yan was so easy to deal with, they won last time, so why would it be their turn now? Okay, people from your forces don't have to go to war with him directly, because under the current situation, we have been lax for a while, and it is not cost-effective to start a war. It is better to urgently improve the combat level, and wait until the entire front is upgraded to the point where we can fight. Situation, then attack the army of the Zerg Queen's forces. The roundworm-like creature calmly faced the hairtail-like creature that was about to rush out of the line. Recently, the two forces have been completely at odds with each other. Although there are a lot of discords, those discords have been diluted because the front line has been advancing smoothly and they have helped their respective forces regain large areas of territory. But now, after hearing that the planets in the rear area were plundered by the Zerg Queen's forces, the gap that had always existed between the two sides was suddenly magnified. The hairtail-like creature turned around and looked at the maggot-like commander indifferently. Your Excellency, you know that I am the commander-in-chief of our war. If I hear this kind of thing and do nothing, but wait slowly, I will be responsible. Of course, this responsibility has nothing to do with your power. As for this, it doesn't matter whether you participated in this surprise attack or not. Our attitude here is that we can no longer allow the army of the Zerg Queen to retreat peacefully. The maggot creature didn't speak for a while, but saw the hairtail-like creature leading the mid-level peak of the galaxy on his side, as well as many mid-level galaxy creatures, away from the scene. Half of the people left, and the gathering at the maggot creature's side suddenly seemed deserted. Your Excellency, Commander-in-Chief, what should we do? Among the people who stayed, the strong man with strong arms was also among them. He was the strong man on the side of the maggot creature. We will wait and see what happens. The matter of the Zerg Queen's energy circle has nothing to do with us, so it is impossible for us to participate in the punishment war. After all, if the losses are heavy, we will become sinners, you should understand. Yes, even if we sympathize, we can't help. Each one of this group of powerful creatures was helpless. It is impossible for them to help the hairtail-like creature because it is not in line with the interests of their forces. Speaking of which, the relationship between them quickly heated up after the Zerg Queen appeared and defeated the domain lords of the two major forces. If not for this, they would have been in a life-and-death hostile relationship before. Now, there is still a trace of precaution, especially in the process of recovery. Every border line, and even the division of some small meteorite belts, are often full of gunpowder. Today's dinner was originally intended to promote the conclusion of certain borderline negotiations, and what happened was that they didn't expect that before they finished their discussion, information from the Zerg Queen's rear area was transmitted to the scene. Therefore, the forces on the side of the hairtail creatures will next have to deal with the Zerg Queen forces. To put it more simply, if they want to deal with Jia Yan, who has contributed to the planning, they will have to deal with it themselves. Lord Jiayan. Oh no, the enemy suddenly came to the border with a large army and wanted to attack us. At this end, Jiayan had just been silently enjoying the process of self-cultivation for a period of time. Suddenly, a subordinate of the Galaxy Intermediate came outside his black mist training room and shouted at Jiayan. Huh? Are you here? It seems that the intelligence from the rear has reached the other party's ears. Our intelligence department's blockade is still not effective enough. It has only been a few months. Jiayan shook his head helplessly, but there was nothing surprising. After all, there was a large-scale operation in the rear area that was hollowing out even the planet. If the enemy army could not quickly grasp this kind of information, they would have been annexed by the Zerg Queen's forces long ago. Instead, they still have the strength to drive the Zerg Queen out of their star domain. Not long after, Jiayan walked out of the training room, and then went to the front of his own battle line with this mid-level galaxy creature. I saw that the enemy army, which had been following the Zerg Queen's forces, pressing forward step by step, but not that close, now pressed forward and reached the front of the Zerg Queen's central army. Jiayan, you're here? Tell me, what are your Zerg Queen's forces behind the scenes doing? Are you actually pulling fire under the cauldron and poaching all our supplies in the homeland of my forces? The hairtail-like creature looked extremely ugly. Your Excellency, first of all, I would like to correct your wording. It is the land of the Zerg Queen's forces now, not your land, so what we do is our own business. In addition, we don't dig much, it's just a part of it. Jiayan was very calm. In fact, he knew that the hairtail creature only acted like this, because what he saw in the opponent's eyes was still the calmness of a strong man. After all, as the commander-in-chief of the war, when he encountered this kind of thing, he would not, even if he doesn't do anything, he would be derelict in his duties. No need to say more, let's meet the real chapter. The last time I fought with you, Jiayan, I felt that I had gained something. In this case, let's go one-on-one today. The hairtail creature didn't give Jiayan the slightest chance to defend himself, and flew out in one breath. Moreover, behind him, the army also flew out in one breath, and even several powerful men from the middle-level peaks of the galaxy came together. In this battle of half of the Domain Lord forces, there are a total of 3 strong men at the middle level of the galaxy. At this moment, if Jiayan can only intercept one of them, the other 2 will kill the galaxy in the Zerg Queen's force. Intermediate strong men go to intercept. And the existence of the middle-level powerhouse in the galaxy versus the peak of the middle-level galaxy. Okay, that's a joke. Even the most terrifying mid-level warriors in the galaxy are almost impossible to beat the peak of the mid-level galaxy. The former Jiayan is an example. Even because there is no regulation about being protected by the existence of the Domain Lord for the mid-level strong people in the galaxy, then if the enemy takes advantage of their anger and kills several mid-level galactic beings from the Zerg Queen's force, then the problem will arise. The Queen of the Zerg, should she be angry because of the Galaxy Intermediate who died in this war? But if you get angry, people have said that this is in line with the rules, and it was Jiayan who was unkind first and they were unjust, so how can you get angry? If they get angry, the 2 domain master creatures will join forces to fight against the Zerg Queen. The final result will be nothing more than another deadlock, with both being slightly injured. So this time, the hairtail creature held Jiayan in his arms for a while, allowing the other 2 beings at the top of the middle-level galaxy to kill several of the middle-level powerhouses of the Zerg Queen's force, so that the Zerg Queen's force headaches and body aches almost offset their losses in the rear. You actually have such an idea? Your forces are so vicious. Jiayan knew the other party's plan at a glance, and his expression suddenly changed. Buzz buzz. The hairtail-like commander-in-chief creature released a brainwave power and attacked Jiayan. This power is somewhat similar to the field of methods favored by stellar powerhouses, but in the hands of the peak mid-level galaxy powerhouse, the field will definitely fall behind. Yes, this is just something specious. It completely enveloped Jiayan, making it extremely difficult for him to escape from this area or even retreat into subspace. Haha, Jiayan, have you been tricked? Since I went back last time, I have been studying how to deal with you. You see, my brainwave power method was specially developed for you. Isn't it very fast? Isn't the range very wide? The hair-tail creature sneered a few times and continued to charge towards Jiayan. Jiayan was indeed a little scared, because the two sides were thousands of kilometers apart just now, but now they were suddenly enveloped in the other side's super terrifying methods. As expected, it was fast. I just wanted to take advantage of the distance to enter the subspace first and drag him and the two mid-level peak powerhouses of the galaxy into this battlefield. Unexpectedly, he already had something to deal with me. Wei. After his heart sank, Jiayan was not afraid at all. In the previous war, he exposed his subspace ability and combat effectiveness, and the enemy used it to study it in depth, and even created a unique way to deal with him. This is a matter of course, otherwise the enemy would be too stupid. Although he was a little surprised, Jiayan was not frightened. Instead, the giant mosquito's compound eyes turned cold, then he sneered and did not retreat into the subspace. It is not that he has not made progress during this period. It should even be said that he is still in the strength improvement period after his breakthrough. He has improved a lot in strength because of the huge resources of Commercial Star. So even if he is not allowed to enter the subspace, he has nothing to fear. It's nothing more than testing your strength in the outside world. Humph, Sir Hairtail, do you really think that your own strength, by limiting my ability to enter the subspace, is crushing me? Puff. Jiayan does not retreat into the subspace. Although he only needs a certain amount of time to break through the constraints of the surrounding brainwave power, this will be a waste of time. By then, the hair-tail creature must have arrived in front of him, and then it will attack those who are about to enter the subspace. He launched some kind of attack. Instead of that, let's fight like this. Anyway, this brainwave power with a huge dispersion range has no offensive power, so it only limits him from entering the subspace and communicating with meteorites and the like in the subspace. This is probably the domain in the hands of the mid-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy. It can be said that it is easy to pick up, but it has abilities that far exceed those of the star-level powerhouses. It's not that Jiayan can't be broken, and it's very easy to break him, but the problem is that this is a battle. Breaking requires time and energy. The enemy just wants to restrict him, and the techniques he has pondered for so long may not even have any effect. At least now Jiayan has not evacuated into the subspace, which shows that the enemy has done a very good job and achieved the expected effect. Haha, Jiayan, are you still arrogant? You are a creature in the subspace and rely on the subspace. Last time you struggled with us, you didn't even dare to come out. Now that you can't get in, you just want to talk to us. Me fighting in the normal starry sky in the outside world? I'm so stubborn. The hairtail-like creature was like a fish swimming in the universe. His body surface was filled with a large amount of fish oil, and in an instant he slid in front of Jiayan from a distance, and just it is as if space and time in the entire universe have no meaning, and his existence itself can travel through space. Of course, this is just as if, just like when others look at Jiayan, it seems that he is integrated with the subspace. That is just as if. In fact, this is the speed at which the opponent's mid-level galactic powerhouse moves. It is similar to the subspace movement ability mastered by Jiayan, except that he is in a flexible way at the angle between subspace and the gravitational wave system, compressing space and gravity. A certain way of travel achieved. If his physique is strong enough and he keeps accelerating, he may have a chance to accelerate to a speed exceeding the speed of light just by relying on this method. Of course, even if he does arrive, he will probably be quite tired, so he might as well use another way of traveling. There isn't much acceleration at close range, so it's definitely not that fast, but to an average strong person, it's like lightning. Hey! You'll know if I'm being tough or not. Excitement and solemnity appeared in Jia Yan's expression. He raised his feet. I am excited because after being promoted for so long, it is the first time that I have a real full-out battle with a strong person at the top of the middle level of the galaxy. Not even the black sheep time can be counted. As for the previous one, it was just that he was in the subspace. It's just some small tricks, not passionate at all. But it was different now. He once again used a lot of resources to improve his strength. He suddenly had the courage to fight a peak mid-level star in the galaxy in an ordinary space without using his subspace talent. Last time, the Commander-in-Chief, let you see my subspace talent, so this time, I will show you my yin-yang dao melee combat. Jia Yan sneered. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2160. And after he sneered, his eyes also saw the two enemy mid-level peaks of the galaxy who were about to pass through him and attack a group of frightened Zerg Queen Galaxy mid-level powerhouses behind him. You guys, stay here too. What? You're even keeping us here? Jia Yan, you can't retreat into the subspace but you're still so conceited. Are you looking for a way to die? The two strong men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy felt the ferocious attack coming from behind, and their expressions instantly turned ugly. They thought that Jia Yan could not retreat into the subspace. Even if he had the courage to fight the hairtail strongman, he would definitely not dare to start any fierce battle with the two of them again. With 1 against 3, does he really think that he can be compared with the black sheep? What's more, even the black sheep will definitely lose when facing the three of them who have gradually become accustomed to fighting and how to deal with the powerful Zerg Queen. Under this arrogant situation, they felt that even if Jia Yan was seriously injured, the Zerg Queen would not say anything. After all, you are so arrogant and were seriously injured by others. It would be too much for her to come forward or something. It's boring and makes no sense. Whether you are conceited or not, you will know after a fight. Jia Yan laughed strangely, and a brainwave power of yin and yang dao followed the normal cosmic space in an instant, and its amplitude reached the top mid-level experts of the two galaxies, causing them to tremble all over, and then turned ugly. Turned back. Jia Yan used brainwave power to block it, which showed that he was truly prepared to fight with the top mid-level powerhouses of the three galaxies in the normal space of the universe. You wanna die? At this moment, the hairtail creature, already carrying a powerful and terrifying force, arrived at Jia Yan's side in an instant, and used an earth-shattering tail sweep to show his presence. The dignified commander-in-chief, the equal of Jia Yan, was so despised by Jia Yan? Such a strong person who has been promoted to the top of the middle level of the galaxy for no more than 2 years at most. Even if he has a certain amount of genius, but in such a short period of time, he dares to look down on another veteran of the top level of the middle level of the galaxy. This is absolutely fatal. The hairtail creature was using its actions to make Jia Yan understand how naive his thoughts were. The surface of his body is covered with greasy fish oil. Of course, this is not real fish oil, but something similar to lubrication. Moreover, this thing seems to be an amazing lubricating liquid, even if he is already in a position where there is almost no friction. In the vacuum of power, this fish oil-like incident still caused his body speed to increase a lot, and when he hit it, it was like lightning. So fast. Jia Yan Ben was still using the power of his brainwaves to attract the two top mid-level powerhouses of the galaxy to his side. When he saw the hairtail tail approaching in front of him, his whole expression changed slightly. But even though the opponent was fast, Jia Yan was still at the speed without any fear. Well done. He roared, and then the positive and negative forces inside his body started to circulate like raging flames. Jia Yan's positive and negative power has long been a superpower that he is accustomed to using, and this power was developed by himself. Every step and every link is extremely suitable for him. Of course, more importantly, the positive and negative power is very suitable for him. Because he is familiar with this power, the moves he develops are often very magical. Positive and negative forces, the previous combat effectiveness, could only be limited to explosions. After all, one positive and one negative, the simplest and crudest way to use it is the explosion caused by one positive and one negative. But after the research goes deeper, this kind of too rough application method will definitely be eliminated. Jia Yan has never given up on the research and development of the application rules of Yin and Yang Dao. In recent days, his strength has gradually stabilized from the situation where he was just promoted to the peak of the intermediate galaxy. In addition, during a battle, he once again made some new discoveries about the use of Yin and Yang Dao in combat. Ever since, Jia Yan revisited some of his previous research plans and once again conceived new combat techniques. Buzz. This combat technique is based on some of his past melee combat techniques. It seems very simple, but compared with his lack of melee combat ability, it seems to be a match made in heaven, making up for his shortcomings in melee combat. Buzz buzz. A pair of front feet crazily collects the positive and negative forces surging from within the body into one place. The left foot is the counter force. The right foot represents positive power. One opposite and one positive and one negative. Yin and Yang are inherently mutually reinforcing and incompatible. The direction of my past research has always told me that the two can be integrated or separated. The biggest point is that if they are pure enough, the power they burst out will make people, the whole world shook. The Yin and Yang understood by Jia Yan can be said to be the foundation of the entire universe and the most important force that constitutes the universe. Talking about strong and weak forces, electromagnetic force, etc., they are said to be the four powerful forces of the universe, but at their root, these four powerful forces seem to be inseparable from the definitions of Yin and Yang. My left foot is Yin, and my right foot is Yang. Yin and Yang can attract each other, or they can separate each other. Touch can cause an explosion, or it can merge, or even the Yin and Yang are reversed. It can happen in the blink of an eye. Jia Yan is a layman. His melee weapon is not a particularly powerful move he has developed, nor is it something mysterious like hallucinations or something that looks awesome but is actually not that powerful. In fact, ever since he reached the top of the intermediate galaxy, he has been thinking about how to make up for his shortcomings in melee combat. Finally, he thought of the simplest and easiest thing to improve. Those are his feet. Logically speaking, he needs to be quick and strong, and has strong bones. The only thing missing is the means to fight in close combat with strong men. Therefore, he focused on his feet. Now, it was time for him to use the test results again to see if they were effective. Yin yin yin. When the hairtail-like creature came with its tail swung, Jia Yan's feet suddenly changed from a trembling moan to a deep blue color. Blue defense, this is Jia Yan's ultimate defense enhancement method. He must use this method to fight against the current strong men. Otherwise, how could the existence of the peak of the middle-level galaxy be so easy to defend against them? Bring it on. Boom. Jia Yan crossed his hands and feet and immediately stretched them in front of him. His long feet were more than enough to cover his entire body. Bang. In the starry sky, an earth-shaking explosion broke out. The subspace and the normal space were completely shaken. The hairtail creature struck with earth-shattering power. I thought that Jia Yan, who had always only adapted to subspace sneak attack tactics, would be knocked away by him. Even if he was not seriously injured, he would definitely suffer some minor injuries. But after one blow, he felt the repulsive force on his tail surged like sea water, causing him to retreat 5 or 6 kilometers involuntarily. Jia Yan also retreated several kilometers. But his gaze hidden behind the shining blue feet shone like a little sun. He blocked this blow very well. What's going on? That was just now. The hairtail expert didn't feel depressed because of the failed attack. It was just because the process of hitting Jia Yan just now made him a little distracted. Because just now, he lashed out with his tail, but he saw that the pair of feet where Jia Yan's tail collided with his tail lit up for an instant, and then, on the pair of feet, two completely different attributes of power shone. This is nothing, because they have mastered Jia Yan's information and know what kind of self-created yin-yang dao this weird country strong man has practiced. The problem is the scene that follows. That is, after the two parties came into contact, the hairtail expert only felt that a positive and negative force surged instantly between Jia Yan's two connecting feet. The pure force of one positive and one negative, when they touched together, it was like the contact of positive and antimatter. Annihilation will only be the final result, and the same is true for this power. The pure pros and cons create a pure explosion. As a result, he was blocked by this force and took a few steps back. Sure enough, this Jia Yan has the confidence to dare to fight in close combat. Although he had already guessed something in his heart, now facing this situation, he still couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Previously, he had imagined that by limiting Jia Yan's subspace talent, he would be able to improve Jia Yan's combat effectiveness. But the facts prove that it is not that simple for the Zerg Queen to send someone as the commander-in-chief of the war. Jia Yan, hurt me. Fortunately, this hairtail creature couldn't defeat Jia Yan alone. He still had a partner. After he and Jia Yan failed to attack, another force suddenly appeared behind Jia Yan. The user of this power is a person who is proficient in illusion energy, which is the kind of talent that other strong people like to talk about the word domain. As soon as this power was used, Jia Yan felt that his surroundings turned into pieces of birds singing and the fragrance of flowers. He also returned to being an ordinary earthling, preparing to have an ambiguous relationship with the person in the Earth era for a period of time. Beautiful image, getting married, and establishing a career. Haha, you are too naive to try to confuse masters of the same level with your mere mental tricks, let me break it. A foot shining with blue light stabbed the beautiful figure fiercely, causing it to scream in agony. Ping. The illusion is like broken glass, turning into petals in an instant, and then the original vacuum of the universe is revealed in front of you. Jia Yan found that within less than a second of his attention being attracted by the illusion, another mid-level peak powerhouse from the galaxy had already come to his side, wanting to use the gloves he was wearing. Give yourself a hard one. Naturally, the three enemies at the top of Intermediate Galaxy were not naive enough to think that Jia Yan would be trapped in an illusion and defeated by a mere illusion talent. They were just trying to buy time. Now sure enough, just as Jia Yan broke through the illusion, he was attacked by another strong man wearing metal gloves. This is a monster that looks like a kangaroo. He wears gloves on his hands, and when he punches, he is like a top boxer dozens of kilometers away, trying to defeat someone with one punch. Haha, you're just boxing, but you want to knock me down? Get out. Jia Yan's feet were already crossed. At this moment, the force of the 2 feet exploded. His left foot pushed his right foot and exploded with speed, which forcibly increased his counter-attack speed several times. And just in time, the attacking glove collided with the counter-attacking shadow of the foot. Huh? Why so fast? The expression of the kangaroo-like creature changed drastically. At the same time, he also felt that the foot that was attacking him was as hard as iron. If he hadn't been wearing gloves to protect himself, his fist would have been stabbed to pieces. Puff. The two sides were separated at the first touch, and one of them retreated for more than 10 kilometers. This really withstood the attacks of 3 people in close combat. What's going on with the pair of feet? One moment it explodes with force, and the next it turns into suction, causing the left and right sides to be sucked together. The key point is that the positive and negative forces of this foot are not only directed against outsiders, but also use positive and negative forces to each other. When it explodes, the speed of the feet will be accelerated several times in the air. The three strong men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy looked at Jia Yan, who was watching them warily, with ugly expressions. I originally thought that Jia Yan's combat effectiveness could only rely on his subspace talent at most. If we close the distance, he is Sun Tzu. But they never expected that. They always thought that the yin and yang Dao was just for Jia Yan to convert stones into positive and negative forces. It also had a good bonus effect in close combat. Even the pair of feet were like juggling. Normally, Jia Yan's feet would be turned forward and backward, and a pair of feet would look like flowers, resisting their attacks, or counter-attacking. This is horrible. Jia Yan has made up for his shortcomings in close combat, so he has almost no shortcomings, and can be said to be a qualified mid-level peak commander of the galaxy. No matter whether he is good at close combat or not, the three of us can definitely defeat him if we work together. Yes, the only solution now is to seriously injure him first or detain him before we can go over and kill some of their mid-level galaxy powerhouses. Superior. The three strong men at the top of the middle level of galaxy, after sensing that Jia Yan's melee strength was also good, did not back down at all. They regrouped again and charged towards Jia Yan. In fact, they could also see that even if Jia Yan had the ability to resist the three of them, he seemed to be very unskilled in the use of his feet, especially when he was vomiting positive and negative forces. He was almost in a hurry. You can tell by looking at it that an unfamiliar secret method is being used. If he could catch his moment of failure and hit him in the body during this gap, Jia Yan would be seriously injured. The agreement stipulated not to kill the mid-level peak powerhouses of the galaxy, but no one said that they could not be injured. Since Jia Yan dared to stand beside three powerhouses at the mid-level peak level of the galaxy, he was naturally prepared to be hurt. So if they hurt Jia Yan, no one would say anything. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2161. And if the current commander-in-chief of the Zerg Queen's forces can be seriously injured, then there will be one less powerful mid-level star in the Zerg Queen's front, which will almost form a one-sided advantage in the coming war. So they didn't care at all why Jia Yan was suddenly good at melee combat, or in other words, they had seen that Jia Yan was still not good at melee combat, so they joined forces to seriously injure Jia Yan and finish their work in one battle. Hey, the three of you are joining forces again. If you two major forces don't join forces, won't you have any fighting ability? You join forces every day like this, but you haven't even practiced any kind of joint battle formation. The strong men of your forces are really very useless. Jia Yan looked at the three powerful men taking action together, and suddenly showed a hint of sarcasm. The three strong men listened to his ridicule. Although they knew that Jia Yan was using provocation, everyone still looked ugly for a moment. Because Jia Yan's sarcasm was extremely accurate. Each of the three powerful men said too many disgusting things to Jia Yan, but none of them said that the three of them would join forces to defeat a being of the same level. Wrong. Jia Yan pointed this out to the point, which made the three of them look ugly for a while, but at the same time, the force of the attack became a little stronger unconsciously. Even if beaten to death, they admitted it and were punished. Otherwise they wouldn't be able to bear it if Jia Yan kept talking like this. Well done. Seeing the hair-tail creature rushing towards Jia Yan at extremely fast speed, Jia Yan drank slightly, and the azure color on his feet became brighter in an instant. He fearlessly created two completely opposite areas on his left and right front feet, one positive and one negative. When his feet touched, it was like a spring was installed, allowing his feet to swing faster. Puff. The toes touched the tail of the hairtail that was swinging quickly. Although it slipped past, it still caused a bit of pain to the hairtail creature. Why so fast? And his toes, why are they so hard? Is this the effect of the blue light? That hairtail creature is also a commander-in-chief among the enemies, and its combat power is extremely strong. When he saw that Jia Yan casually blocked one of his own tail swipes, and almost caused damage to his tail, his expression became even more intense. Looking embarrassed. Jia Yan's shortcomings in close combat seemed to have been eliminated with the help of his blue front feet. Clang. From behind, the strong man with strong arms and gloves also punched, but this punch was blocked by Jia Yan's distracted throw of a slender foot. The hind foot turned blue in an instant, but the sense of power flashing on it was far inferior to that of the front foot. Humph, the hind legs are indeed not as powerful as the front legs. Watch me break your legs one by one with one punch. The strong creature smiled coldly and swung another fist at him. At the same time, another creature with the hallucination specialty used his hallucination skill on one side. But comparing the current battle situation, he, a strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, the hallucination effect he used was not very great. Jia Yan felt his head was dizzy, but with strong willpower, he blocked the blow. After that, a pair of front feet shot towards the hairtail creature, and a subspace ripple flashed on the back feet. The glove punched again, and was disturbed by the ripples in space. It turned into a deflection in an instant. However, the range that the ripples could withstand was not large. The punch hit the ankle, which was close to the hind foot, causing Jia Yan to feel a slight pain. Fortunately, it was not a serious injury. Call out. Jia Yan's pair of specially trained front feet once again triggered the ejection of positive and negative forces. One positive and one negative force, one yin and one yang. This repulsive force caused the pair of front feet to shoot in different directions. And the speed is much faster than the average strong person of the same level. If it weren't for his lack of proficiency, it would have been three enemies who were in a hurry in this battle. Come here, meteorite. While stabbing the fish creature with his foot, Jia Yan summoned the meteorite inside the space. Although the enemy has restricted access to the entire subspace of the outside world, Jia Yan can still control the meteorites in the subspace. After all, he is a talented being in the subspace, and he really wants to break the blockade and escape into the subspace. Space is not a particularly difficult thing. Of course, what the enemy wants is to break the blockade. The little time it creates, the little time drag between the strong ones, is the key point that will cause big problems in the entire battle. Boom boom boom. Inside the subspace meteorite triggered by Jia Yan suddenly exploded with positive and negative forces. That weird meteorite is coming, be careful. As a being who has blocked the subspace, Commander-in-Chief Hairtail was the first to discover the abnormal movement in the subspace. However, because he had fought with Jia Yan, he was already familiar with this move, and he immediately reminded everyone around him. A sound. The other two people quickly released their brainwave power and looked at the subspace around them vigilantly, looking no longer so fearful. This is what a strong man will encounter after his moves are known to others. After all, Jia Yan had used such meteorite explosives several times last time he fought with them, and even several of his unique fighting methods. After using them all, as long as the enemy is not a fool, he will study them carefully when he returns. If you dare to fight this time, you must have good defense methods. However, Jia Yan did not just want to defeat these enemies with such a meteorite explosive. Boom! A meteorite erupted from the subspace. This was just a maser made by an ordinary meteorite. But the three enemies at the top of the middle level of the galaxy did not dare to gamble, So each one had to dodge. Puff puff. There are several meteorites shooting out from every strong man's side. Even if they use the power of brain waves to densely disperse them into their own physical space, there are simply countless meteorites inside, making each of them a little confused. They shouldn't be afraid of such meteorite explosives, but such explosives may contain moves that can really injure them. Last time, they almost forced all three of them to admit defeat, so they didn't dare to underestimate them this time. Watch for. Humph. This one must be an explosive. While dodging, the hair-tail creature recognized an explosive, and the brainwave power suddenly entered the subspace. When it touched the meteorite, the entire meteorite exploded. Boom boom boom. When the sound waves reach normal space, they have become very weak, and the hair-tail creatures have no effect at all. Puff. But just as he was about to speak out and taunt Jia Yan again, he felt a sharp object emitting a blue light piercing the air in front of him. He quickly used his tail to block it, and he was pushed back a lot, and then his expression became ugly. You actually have such a powerful mind? You can control meteorites to shoot out into subspace, and you still have the energy to fight in close combat. The hair-tail creature understood immediately. Jia Yan is using his meteorites to create a unique field. Don't you have a field? Aren't you good at melee combat? But my melee combat has improved now, and then there are real and fake explosives and meteorites in the subspace, which are attacking you continuously. Do you want to block them? If you block it, I will attack you with my body, and you will definitely be at a disadvantage. If you don't block it, what if it's really an explosive meteorite? Three of you, it's just a small trick. Haven't you already known that I have these abilities? Now let's see if we can crack it. Jia Yan smiled and stepped forward again. That's right, he is deliberately not entering the secondary space. Entering subspace, everything will return to the fighting methods that have been used in recent years, such as using sneak attacks or meteorite explosions to fight in subspace. But this fighting method is safe and sound, and he is becoming more and more proficient, but Jia Yan has slowly discovered its limitations, and even saw a dangerous sign that may limit himself from becoming stronger. After all, the safety of timid fighting seems good, but there is no experience in real fighting, and there is no direction to become stronger. Even if you want to learn from other strong people's fighting and how to exercise your body, you can't. I have a practical feeling that in the future, let alone improving my combat strength, it is likely to affect Jia Yan's promotion. After all, his strength is often realized through fighting with other strong men. So he gave up the fighting method of entering the subspace. Of course, he also knew that close combat was his shortcoming, and this shortcoming became even greater after his strength improved, so he used his spare time in these few days to, using the 4-foot combat method of Azure defense and Onmyodo amplification that has been studied for a long time. This is the first time I have used it in actual combat, and as soon as I came on the field, I directly faced the existence of the 3 major mid-level galaxies, and I instantly felt its usefulness. Jia Yan is actually quite satisfied with these opponents, because enemies with such great pressure will not kill him. Where can he find such opponents? Ever since, he used the melee method of blue defense combined with his feet. In the process of using it, everyone could see that he was quickly adjusting his fighting skills, and gradually his fighting patterns and methods of attack became more mature. This move is about to become a real combat move. Everyone was amazed, especially the opponents Jia Yan faced, who were even more helpless. They could not kill Jia Yan with all their strength. After knowing that he was using the latest combat method, they understood that Jia Yan was using them as alchemy stones. But there is no way. Besides, even if they want to be tough and make Jia Yan quickly admit defeat, they can't do it now. Jia Yan used the meteor rain tactic where meteorites flew out from the subspace one after another, creating a field-like effect. Although they were not afraid of ordinary meteorites at all, During the last battle, they saw they had to guard against the kind of exploding meteorites, which made the strong men at the top of the three middle-level galaxies miserable and could only passively serve as Jia Yan's alchemy stone. Damn it! Jia Yan, if it was a real life and death battle, we would have killed you long ago, regardless of minor injuries. The strong man with strong arms was still injured. His face was extremely ugly at this time. He was avoiding Jia Yan's meteorite for fear of being injured again. If it's a battle of life and death, why should I fight with you three powerful men at the top of the mid-level galaxy? I'm not a fool. Jia Yan sneered, and then mixed an explosive meteorite into the meteorite flying quietly in the subspace, and shot it at the strong man with strong arms. This guy seems to have some opinions on Jia Yan, so I'm sorry, let him have a bigger opinion. Boom. Jia Yan. Damn it. After the explosion, the strong man with strong arms finally had a completely explosive expression. Regardless of the meteorites shooting from all around, the gloves on his fists instantly bloomed with an astonishing brilliance, showing good fighting skills. Don't. The hair-tail creature was afraid of such a situation and quickly exclaimed. He just doesn't want Jia Yan to see the fighting skills of other strong men, or even their trump cards. If Jia Yan sees it, then he will draw parallels and see clearly the fighting patterns of many middle-level and peak strong men in the galaxy. After all, everyone knows, Jia Yan had just been promoted not long ago, and what he needed most at the moment was to see the fighting skills of other strong men of the same level, like a sponge, hoping to absorb water. At the most important time, just can't let the enemy get what he wants. They have all gone through the promotion period, and they know very well what the strong people want after being promoted. In some cases, because some strong people have not been verified by combat, the direction of their strength improvement is unclear. When you fight with others, you will find that your strength is very low, and then your training direction will be wrong. So on a certain level, they have been seemingly suppressed by Jia Yan, but in fact they are showing Jia Yan no fighting skills, and even deliberately mislead Jia Yan at certain key points in the battle to let him develop in that direction in the future. Lead him astray. This must be some kind of intrigue between strong men. After all, if you can't start a life and death battle, then you can only mislead you in the direction of your development so that you can't grow up successfully. In some cases, in fact, the previous Zerg Queen forces also used such a battle plan when they fought against each other. Therefore, seeing so many enemy galaxy-level bosses, their combat effectiveness was actually so weak. Sometimes you can't beat two against one, which is the effect. Come on, let me see your moves. Jia Yan laughed happily, gave up the confrontation with the fish-haired creature, and turned to the creature with strong arms in an instant. Since the other party is willing to give him guidance, Jia Yan must be happy. What a good man. In fact, this is what strong people are like. Even if Jia Yan asked the two strong men of his own power to point him out, it would not be a real battle, and his own people would not have to expose their fighting skills and their indebtedness when asking for help. Jia Yan didn't even want to do it, not to mention the two mid-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy as a reference, which was a bit too little. Therefore, the current battle was really what he wanted. Jia Yan. Look how proud you are. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2162. The strong man with strong arms instantly collided directly with his fist and the foot that Jia Yan was resisting. Puff. Boom. This collision, at first, was like a collision between ordinary creatures. There was just a slight ripple at the intersection, but within a moment, the ripple expanded into an extremely ferocious shockwave, even blooming with brilliance like the sun. Jia Yan, the one on both sides, used a pair of bright blue defensive feet, while the opponent did not give in too much. The metal gloves he used were covered with explosion-like bright colors, bright against bright. This collision was really, what's more, 1 plus 1 equals 100 ones, and it's so dazzling that people can't open their eyes. Sharp. Jia Yan felt that he had used both positive and negative blows, but he was unable to resist at all under the opponent's violence. The surging will was wrapped in the terrifying power of the other person, and Jia Yan's blue defense was completely destroyed. He hit it hard and almost hit Jia Yan himself. Go to hell. The monster with strong arms in metal fists used all his strength and punched Jia Yan's giant mosquito head. Oh, it didn't hit. The giant mosquito head that seemed to be hit by the bomb was just a huge afterimage. Jia Yan used his flying speed and fanned up a pair of giant mosquito wings that he had not used for a long time. The vacuum of the universe under the wings seemed to really exist. He was slapping and slapping. Very fast. Huh? You can get away with this. The strong monster wearing metal gloves felt that he was ashamed. He suddenly realized that he seemed to have given Jia Yan a chance to learn from veteran experts like them. Haha, I've learned it, I've learned it. It turns out that willpower is so important among the strong people at the top of the middle level of the galaxy. Just now, a power that was twice as terrifying as the full strength actually exploded. It shocked me. Jia Yan was far away, laughing happily, as if he had learned a lot. The other two mid-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy couldn't stand the metal glove powerhouse at all, and their expressions were extremely ugly. Well, it doesn't matter if you know this. Jia Yan, don't you think that this is all that is needed for a strong person at the top of the middle level of the galaxy to become stronger? The hallucination-like creature sneered, and he directly released another illusion, pulling Jia Yan into it. To be honest, in the battle just now, Jia Yan never felt that this hallucination-like skill would have much effect on him, but in fact, Jia Yan could feel this hallucination-like creature at every critical point. Affecting many of his decisions, it can be seen that this guy should be extremely difficult to deal with, not to mention that his methods have not been fully demonstrated. If they were demonstrated, Jia Yan would not dare to fight him one-on-one. Tell me how much you will win against him. But even if he used his full strength and the other two powerful men on both sides also used their full strength, Jia Yan didn't think that he would die ugly. Strength is strength. If his strength does not reach that level, it does not mean that Jia Yan is weak. These two just show that Jia Yan still has potential, but it does not mean that he is not strong enough now. If he is really weak, like a strong mid-level galactic powerhouse, then the three top mid-level galactic powerhouses will kill him, and the Zerg Queen will not say anything, and because Jia Yan has the galaxy the strength of a peak mid-level powerhouse, and not an ordinary top mid-level powerhouse in the galaxy, is why the Zerg Queen will let him serve as the commander-in-chief of this war. It is also because of this that the three powerful men at the moment will besiege him. Taken together, Jia Yan has this strength. What methods do you have? Why don't you try it again? No need to laugh. If you just laugh, I don't know what I did wrong. Why don't you all demonstrate it to me, and I will know. For example, this friend, after one punch, I knew that the will of a strong person is very important, and it can even make an existence at the top of the middle level of the galaxy use twice the power of the punch. Tisk tisk, it is really powerful. Facing Jia Yan's provocation, the three powerful men refused to speak. The hairtail existence even gouged out the strong man with strong arms, causing the people behind him to be slightly startled, and they didn't know how to explain it. He knew that what he had done was a bit too much, and he was provoked by Jia Yan, which made Jia Yan understand a little more about the direction that the top mid-level players in the galaxy should study. But that's it. A strong person has one direction, and countless strong people have countless directions. He just showed Jia Yan one direction and one possibility, and it is very likely that this direction does not apply to Jia Yan. It's like Jia Yan wants to use this will to increase combat effectiveness out of thin air. But if he really studies it, will it double the explosive power of his meteorite explosives out of thin air? No, obvious thing. But that's not to say that this matter is not helpful to Jia Yan. On the contrary, for Jia Yan, this kind of thing is really helpful. This shows that willpower is a correct direction and can succeed, and then about will, it can thinking of aspects related to blockbusters, such as brainwaves, fighting spirit, etc. All of these can be understood by analogy because such an interesting point is solved, which is very magical. This is why, when they know that they cannot kill Jia Yan, these hostile strong men tolerate everything, so as not to let Jia Yan, who has just been promoted but has unlimited potential, know too many other galaxies. The battle direction that exists at the top of the intermediate level. For a newly promoted middle-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy, since he will not die, the more he fights, the more he will perfect his future path, which is simply staking the enemy. But Jia Yan knew what they were thinking. Since these strong men were unwilling, he could force them. To be honest, Jia Yan was a little reluctant when he accepted the post of commander-in-chief of the war. But now, he feels that taking over this position is his best judgment. He even wondered whether the Queen of the Zerg had this in mind before letting Jia Yan go to the battlefield and giving him the position of commander-in-chief of the war. Puff. Of course, you can't think so much during the battle. Jia Yan once again triggered a large piece of meteorite, forcing the strong man wearing metal gloves away with the meteorite. Eh? Are you coming after me? Jia Yan, you don't have to think about what kind of inspiration I will give you. I'm not that stupid. The creature using the illusion talent felt Jia Yan coming towards him and sneered instantly. Then he retreated violently, unwilling to come into close contact with Jia Yan. If many strong men are creatures that fight at close range, and even Jia Yan can only be regarded as a semi-long-range combatant, then this strong man who uses illusion talent is a pure long-range profession, so he definitely has a way to distance himself from the enemy, otherwise it would be impossible for him to grow to the peak of the middle level of galaxy. Oh? Are you actually retreating while creating hallucinatory roadblocks for me? This is already considered a relatively advanced skill, right? But it really doesn't inspire me at all. I'm not taking this path. In fact, this creature with hallucination talent can use a lot of combat skills, because most powerful people will not use the same combat skills as them, and there is nothing to learn from. However, the other party is obviously not an ordinary creature. Caution and caution are the mottos of this kind of existence. Therefore, even if Jia Yan thinks that there is a high probability that he will not be able to draw any future inspiration from himself, he will not be willing to use his skills. But because of this, it has been difficult to distance him from Jia Yan. Friend, you also have your own unique skills. Use them to see. As long as you see them, I will not go against you. Jia Yan pressed forward step by step as if he saw a beautiful girl. Look, without your help, your army is now running headlong into the rock-solid front of our Zerg Queen's forces. It cannot shake our front at all. Now there are heavy casualties. Why don't you use your skills to make me suffer a little bit? I won't be injured, and then I won't dare to fight anymore, and you will have a great victory. Jia Yan works tirelessly, like a good old man who is doing the best for the other person. And this kind of words, when spoken, is a conspiracy, and it makes perfect sense. The hallucination creature and the hairtail creature that are chasing it have eyes that are shining brightly, and they feel a little bit moving. Yes, when they were distracted and looked at the battle situation, they knew that what Jia Yan said was not an exaggeration at all. Their army was being completely held back by the Zerg Queen's fierce formation. After all, although the Zerg Queen's force front has a small number of people, it has been fighting for so long. The Zerg Queen's force front personnel are not afraid of a single domain lord level force. They originally planned to be the strong ones delayed Jia Yan, and then other strong men went to attack the Zerg Queen's forces. This was also because of Jia Yan's strength, which held back all of their mid-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy. Without further explanation, This was very important to them. For the powerful troops, it was simply a disaster. On one side, there are fierce bandits who have been deployed here for many days, that is, the strong men of the Zerg Queen's force, while on the other side, they have been fighting for so many years and are not yet fully familiar with the war, let alone the Zerg Queen. It would be an understatement to say that they are fools if they bump into the enemy's front line that has a large number of technological weapons to coordinate with the battle. Without the help of the top mid-level powerhouses of the three major galaxies, look at the battle line. It has almost become a place for one side to compete for credit, and the losers are the powerful soldiers of their force. Even the fish creature was shaken. Anyway, Jia Yan saw a fighting skill, so what if I showed him more? Besides, there were only 3 powerful men present. Judging from these 3 powerful men, none of them matched Jia Yan's attributes. There shouldn't be much that he could learn from, right? If you don't use your own fighting ability, the huge army behind you will fail. The 3 strong men suddenly fell into some confused thoughts. You don't need to be fooled by his words. Even if we don't use any fighting skills, we can defeat this guy. Who is he? We are 3 majors of the same level. Do you really think he can resist us? The powerful illusionist who was at the peak of the middle level of the galaxy roared at this moment. As a calm creature, the guy who has been using his illusion talent has a much better temperament than the other 2, so at this moment, he is the one who knows the current combat environment best. Yes, damn, I was almost confused by Jia Yan's words. This guy. The Hairtail commander responded instantly. Although he was still a little confused in his heart, he definitely didn't know how to use combat skills. The strong man with strong fists and strong arms at the other end was a little unwilling. He also wants to continue to use his strength to defeat Jia Yan. For this person, he is not a very calm and strong person, and he never thinks that he can stop Jia Yan's progress for long. After all, Jia Yan is also the peak of the middle-level galaxy, and he is still the leader of this war. The commander-in-chief will definitely have to fight against the strong men of their 2 major forces frequently. They can stop them today, but what about the future? It is foreseeable that in the future, there will definitely be a war. So they will always be like playing house and dare not get serious with this strong man who is also the pinnacle of the middle-level galaxy. What a joke. Therefore, this strong man at the top of the middle level of galaxy has no intention of engaging in such a tactic to prevent Jia Yan from gaining more training skills. This is also the reason why he took action just now when necessary. The 3 powerful men had almost 3 kinds of thoughts. The strong man with hallucinations was adhering to the original plan, while the commander-in-chief of Hairtail was a little wavering, while the strong man with strong arms looked indifferent. In this way, the unified caliber of the 3 was broken, and the hallucination creatures felt even more uncomfortable. They thought that in addition to looking after Jia Yan, they also had to look at the 2 powerful men, otherwise they would be unhappy and break. Their blockade of Jia Yan will create a formidable enemy in the future. Didn't you see that Jia Yan has not fully mastered the fighting skills and directions of other strong men, so is he so difficult to deal with? If you happen to show him too many directions and selection techniques just when he needs to learn from them the most, he will become more powerful in the future, and we won't be the ones suffering the most? This powerful man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy is simply helpless to the 2 colleagues around him. Ha ha ha, friend, you are actually distracted. Unexpectedly, this hallucination-like creature was distracted by his 2 companions. In an instant, a figure broke through 3 hallucination roadblocks one after another and arrived in front of him in an instant. What? Jia Yan. This strong man's expression changed drastically, and he quickly followed his instinct and used a powerful illusion technique. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2163. Big. Fire! There is fire in every direction. And this fire really burned him, making Jia Yan instantly feel that his whole person had turned into a small existence in the universe. What's going on? I seem to have had a dream. In the dream, Jia Yan felt like he had become a big mosquito, and then he gained extremely terrifying strength and reputation. How is it possible that I become a mosquito? Haha, I am the son of the head of a country, and then a person who is loved by the people and has reached the peak of both my force value and my personal charm value, run to become a mosquito? Haha. Jia Yan laughed, then stretched out his hand to hug the beautiful woman next to him. Well. No, I am a mosquito, and I am an invincible giant mosquito in the starry sky. Why did I become the son of such a leader? How can a mere son of the head of a human country compare to the invincible giant mosquito in the starry sky? Puff! In an instant, Jia Yan's palm seemed to turn into a ball of cold blue color. In an instant, he slapped the screaming beautiful woman to death. What an illusion, it even caught me, it's amazing. Boom boom boom. In the starry sky, the hallucination powerhouse gradually turned his ghostly figure into reality. Then, in his materialized figure, there was a sharp super metal knife, and then this knife quickly moved towards the giant mosquito rushed towards me in front of me, but I don't know why, but it paused for a moment and scratched away. As long as this attack is successful, the giant mosquito in front of him may seem powerful, but he will definitely be seriously injured. It's a pity that both parties have some implicit rules and cannot kill him, otherwise this one blow can kill him. But just after this hallucination creature used its powerful hallucination power to interfere with the giant mosquito's thinking, causing him to fall into a hallucination. What a hallucination! Fortunately, I woke up quickly enough. Get out of here! The giant mosquito's already raised legs swept horizontally towards the hallucination creature who had drawn out the knife. What? Sober up so quickly? The expression of the creature with the gift of illusion changed slightly, but this kind of thing was not very surprising. He quickly picked up his knife and blocked Jia Yan's stabbing foot. Ding! After a critical attack from both sides, the illusory creature seemed to be very familiar and retreated to the rear in an instant, making Jia Yan's pursuit impossible. Ha ha ha, Your Excellency, didn't you say you don't use skills? Now you persuade others not to use them, but you use them yourself. Unexpectedly, your words and deeds are inconsistent. Are all the strong men in your force like this? Jia Yan laughed happily and was not unhappy about being affected by the other party's hallucination just now. He can withstand this illusion, and he is not the only one. Even if other strong men at the top of the mid-level galaxy cannot react like him before the enemy attacks, it is normal for them to react at the same time as he attacks. After all, if the creatures with the hallucination talent were so terrifying, then no other strong person would have to live. So it seems weird, but in reality it's just that. Moreover, this guy has been trying to persuade others not to use skills, but he used the skills himself, giving Jia Yan a new level of understanding of this skill. This is a great gift for Jia Yan. The hallucination creature's face suddenly turned ugly. He is considered rational, so he keeps telling others not to let Jia Yan see their skills, which greatly limits Jia Yan's growth. But he never expected that when he was talking, Jia Yan rushed in front of him. This was a great threat to a hallucination existence. In his past life, he had been rushed so close by the enemy. It can be said that there are only a handful of them, so at the moment, I naturally used my skills. And it was quite powerful, allowing Jia Yan to see the existence of the middle-level peak of the galaxy, and how to use illusions to use brainwave power. At this moment, he was unable to argue. No matter whether it was involuntary or not, even if he did it, he could not explain it to other strong men. Okay, Your Excellency, you have given me a certain amount of experience. Why don't you give me more experience? You guys too, as you can see, it is impossible to restrict another strong man of the same level without using all his skills. It's better to let go. Jia Yan said calmly to the strong man at the peak of the middle level of the galaxy, and at the same time, he also said the same to the other two strong men behind him, who looked ugly. The two mid-level peak beings from the galaxy who caught up had extremely ugly expressions on their faces and remained silent. The hair-tail creature was the first to arrive in front of Jia Yan, and then, as if a strange energy suddenly emerged from his tail, it was suddenly thrown in front of Jia Yan. So fast. So good, it's actually a combat technique that uses the friction of space to speed up one's own speed. Thank you for using your combat skills. Jia Yan smiled again and stepped forward without fear. Arrogant. You want to see our fighting skills, right? Come here. On the other side, the strong man with strong arms also used the brilliant skills of his fists without any concealment. Looking at the hallucination creature from one side, he just felt a little tired, and then shook his head. No matter how much it is, just give Jia Yan skills and experience. As he said himself, if others want to give him experience, it's impossible. After all, it's a war, and everyone is letting him go. Difficult. After all, Jia Yan is also a good mid-level star in the galaxy. If his combat power is not strong enough, he can still fool him for a while, but in fact, Jia Yan's combat power has definitely reached the top of the ordinary star mid-level, and even exceeded the average star. He has the strength of a top-level expert, so why not use his combat skills on him? Impossible. Buzz. This illusionary creature at the top of the intermediate galaxy also used his illusion talent to target Jia Yan, helping his two partners at the intermediate peak of the galaxy to join forces to fight against Jia Yan. Very good, very good. You three are indeed my best friends, Jia Yan. I will thank you in the future. Jia Yan, you are too arrogant. You want us to do it? Very good, then let's see how you were seriously injured by us. The three of them were so furious that they didn't care about anything for a moment and used all their skills and techniques. This caused Jia Yan's experience value to skyrocket. Are those three over there, crazy? Asshole, we have concealed the battle for so long just to prevent Jia Yan from understanding our level of combat experience. If so, wouldn't our previous efforts be in vain? If you fail to succeed, you will fail. The three guys from this force are simply speechless. On the other side, the three maggot creatures watching the battle were dumbfounded. They also saw the way Jia Yan had just provoked several people. Although they found it a bit annoying, they believed that they would definitely not be subject to such a simple provocation. But the three major beings over there were provoked by Jia Yan at this moment, and then, as he wished, they used all their fighting skills to give Jia Yan an increase in experience points in vain. Okay, great. This move really shocked me. Can a strong person at the top of the middle level of galaxy do this? It gave me a lot of experience. It seems to have inspired a kind of fighting in me. Thank you, Your Excellency, I feel like I may have completed a combat skill. Not bad, not bad. This time, I got rid of the hallucination faster by 0.3 seconds. Thank you. My resistance to hallucinations will be greatly enhanced in the future. What a good person. Oh, Your Excellency, who has a strong arm, this attack of yours really made me realize what brute force is. Very good. I will take note of it. When I encounter a strong person like you in the future, I will definitely only attack the lower plate. The three strong men surrounded Jia Yan, but they saw that Jia Yan kept thanking them, which made the three strong men really want to explode with anger. They really had no intention of helping Jia Yan, but in fact they beat him back and forth, leaving Jia Yan with bruises all over his body, but they didn't dare to kill him. Then Jia Yan's body didn't look like he was gifted with subspace. Every time I hit him, a blue color appeared, and the injuries were not too serious. It was simply a freak that made them extremely angry but unable to do anything. Jia Yan, if you humiliate us like this again, we will kill you. With the presence of Hairtail, he almost couldn't help but use his real trump card, and then cause Jia Yan's death. But after hearing this, Jia Yan's eyes lit up. In fact, he still wanted to see the killer weapon of the top mid-level powerhouse in the galaxy, but after this idea circulated for a moment, he gave up on his own. He has actually learned enough today. He shouldn't try other people's trump cards now. It would be a bit troublesome to die. And even if he doesn't die and is seriously injured, how will he find these fools in the future? Ahem, good guy, help yourself train your fighting skills? In short, Jia Yan felt that enough was enough. It really hurt his feelings to force three good people to kill him. Boom. Thinking of this, Jia Yan instantly pushed away the guy with the strong arm with one blow, and then kicked with his back foot. The subspace became chaotic, and he was very familiar with it, and he suddenly fell into it. He wants to escape. Damn it, we can't let him escape. These meteorites. The existences of the three middle-level peaks of the galaxy, seeing Jia Yan's actions, knew that he was ready to give up this battle. They rushed forward one by one, wanting to continue attacking Jia Yan, even if they couldn't kill him. If you want to kill him, you must make him suffer some injuries, otherwise there will really be no gain at all in this battle that allows them to show off their fighting skills. You guys are so nice. Even though I'm about to leave, you are still so enthusiastic. Thank you. No need to send them away. Jia Yan laughed, and then the power of his brainwaves surged. A large number of meteorites rushed out of the entire subspace in an instant, turning the surroundings of his body into a safe place like an iron barrel. Outside this range, is the middle-level peak powerhouse of the three major galaxies who wanted to rush in, but was blocked by these meteorites. Jia Yan, wait for me. Escape now. Well, let's attack his army. Get out of here. The three strong men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy were simply stealing the chicken but losing the rice. They were all furious and saw that Jia Yan had retreated into the subspace. The chaos of the subspace created by the hairtail creature had no impact on Jia Yan. It was as if the talent didn't exist. It was just a little slower to enter the fifth dimension of the subspace, but it was still successfully hidden in the subspace. They were helpless, and after looking at each other, they looked at the lively battlefront, aimed at the location of several mid-level existences of the Zerg Queen's forces, and charged straight towards them. They have lost a lot of face today, and they must regain their face. Otherwise, they will not have the face to face other strong men when they go back. Huh? No. These guys are actually coming towards us. Escape. Among the battle group of mid-level warriors in the galaxy, there are three warriors from the Zerg Queen's force. They are already struggling to face a warrior twice as strong as their territory lord level force, but seeing these three shameless galaxy the middle level peak existence actually flew towards their battle group. Knowing what they were thinking, they quickly retreated one by one. Want to escape? Stay with us. Yes, since the so-called commander-in-chief of your force has no guts to fight, then you can fight in his place. The three adults in our force are very angry. We would be guilty if we didn't hold you back. The six mid-level galactic powerhouses fighting them sneered and flew forward one by one, trying to drag down these three mid-level galactic beings. While they were stalling for time, the top three mid-level galactic peaks had already rushed to the battle area where these mid-level galactic powerhouses were, preparing to take action against these powerhouses from the Zerg Queen's force. You must know that the mid-level powerhouses in the galaxy are not under the protection of the domain master creatures at all. In these battlefields, death is really dead. Even if the top mid-level powerhouses in the galaxy make a move, it can be compared to the top mid-level powerhouses in the galaxy. In terms of his life, it is not good for the territory lord creature to get angry because of the death of a mid-level powerhouse in the galaxy. Otherwise, you have to protect subordinates of all levels, so there is no need to fight this war. Let's just have a life and death battle for the existence of the domain master. Naturally, it is impossible for the territory lord to fight to the death because of his low-level subordinates, so as long as they are not bullied too much, they will not be angry because of the death of the mid-level strong man in the galaxy. At the moment, Jia Yan did not hold back the opponent's three powerful men, but was actually killed by the opponent's three powerful men in anger. Several galaxy mid-levels were killed. The Queen of Zerg must have had to endure it. At first, a middle-level strong man from the galaxy was forced in front of him by the fastest hairtail creature, and his expression changed drastically, knowing that something was going to happen. Die. With hairtail, there was no trace of mercy. Compared with the discomfort of fighting Jia Yan just now, he felt that now was the time for him to decompress. The tail whipped hard. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2164. However, his attack is indeed powerful, but Jia Yan's speed is not slow either. Your Excellency Hairtail, my subordinates are not that easy to kill. If you really want to fight, how about we continue the fight? Puff. A burning azure-colored foot thrust out from the subspace and blocked the hairtail creature's tail. Jia Yan. Don't be ungrateful. Do you really think we can't kill you? On the other side, the existences at the peaks of the two major middle-level galaxies were attacked by a large piece of meteorite from the subspace, which delayed the time to attack the middle-level strongmen of the two major galaxies. They all found the time and flew back. At the same time, these mid-level strongmen of the galaxy flew back, looking at the looming presence in the subspace, their faces full of gratitude. After all, Jia Yan must be very tired from fighting these three powerful men at the middle level of the galaxy, otherwise he would not give up the fight with the other three. But now he still takes a certain risk and shows up again, just to help. These three powerful men can be said to be sincere in wanting to save the three of them. If there are no accidents, these people will be more loyal to Jia Yan in the future. Of course, they didn't know that Jia Yan was just completing his mission. He is the commander-in-chief of a war. If there are no subordinate soldiers in this war, how can he be the commander-in-chief? If he fights the war alone, he will definitely lose. That's why he took action. Jia Yan, if you continue to bully others too much, then we will really use your trump card. Come on, I really want to see how powerful the trump card of the middle-level peak of the galaxy is. In the previous battle with the two powerful mid-level peaks of the galaxy in the starry sky, they did not have any. It's my regret to use the trump card, but it's also a pleasure to see it now. Jia Yan smiled broadly, as if the group of strong men in front of him were just practicing martial arts with him. In fact, these experts at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, aren't they just competing? Otherwise, from Jia Yan's point of view, war is war. How can there be any level of strong people who cannot die? If they really fight, he will definitely kill him. Yes, others may not dare to kill people casually, but Jia Yan does not. If it were not for his current strength, it would still be difficult to kill a strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, even if he is killed by other people. The strong men saw through it and joined forces to fight him. Not only would he not be able to kill anyone, but he would also inflict some injuries on himself. He would definitely kill. Kill, is the domain lord creature angry? Afraid of eggs, this is not the first time that Jia Yan has made a domain lord creature angry. He has also been hunted down by a domain lord creature before. Didn't he also escape several disasters? At worst, after killing him, he dives into the subspace, and then even if the domain master creature chases him, he can escape. At worst, the Zerg Queen's power will not come back. This is Jia Yan's mentality. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is not afraid of heaven and earth. By the way, you guys, you must know that there are benefits to our defensive front being in a triangle shape. Haha, you see, the benefits are starting to show up now. If you don't leave, you may have to save some for later. What's the best way to go? Jia Yan warned while releasing the power of brainwaves and bombarding the top mid-level powerhouses of the three galaxies with those meteorites. The enemies at the middle-level peaks of the three major galaxies heard Jia Yan's words and instantly realized something, and then looked to one side with ugly expressions. Sure enough, on the edge of the battlefield where they were watching, there was another new force, and it was not the new force they belonged to, but a new force belonging to the Zerg Queen's force, joining the battlefield. The shouts of killing are constant, and the screams are even more endless. In this interstellar space, those who can fight freely are at least starry sky-level existences, but these existences are like lambs waiting to be slaughtered in front of the enemy's fresh force. Numerous casualties. This is the Zerg Queen's partial army over there. Damn it, how did it come so fast? Retreat, retreat. The strong men at the peak of the middle level of the three major galaxies looked ugly for a while, and then one by one made a judgment involuntarily. It's not that they pity their own people over there, but that among the supporting Zerg Queen's partial army, there is a strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy. If he also joins this confrontation, plus Jia Yan, they the three people here really may not be able to get along well. So if you don't retreat, you will lose even more face. Hoo. The three strong men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, like bereaved dogs, evacuated the range of Jia Yan's energy one by one. Those meteorites seemed to give them a way to survive, deliberately leaving a passage to keep them far away. Get away. Your commander-in-chief and the two peak mid-level beings of the galaxy have escaped, and you are still here. Do you want to die? Jia Yan's voice laughed ferociously in the subspace, and then appeared behind a mid-level enemy of the galaxy, with a stab. Ah! That middle-level Star Warrior, how could he have thought that Jia Yan, a powerful mid-level Star Warrior at the top of the galaxy, would come to sneak attack a mid-level Star Warrior like him? He had no defense at all, and he roared in an instant. However, the scream was silenced in an instant, because Jia Yan's brainwave power suddenly emerged in his body, and then caused his body to be torn apart, and he could not die anymore, so the scream naturally stopped. Run away. Damn it, this Jia Yan doesn't have the demeanor of a strong man at all, and he didn't even give him a chance to escape when he attacked the mid-level galaxy. Let's go, let's go. This Jia Yan is a scoundrel. You can tell by the way he fights. If we don't go, we will all be in trouble. The remaining enemy troops were originally following the strong men from the middle-level peaks of the three galaxies with great ambition, but now, they all seemed to be scared out of their wits and fled quickly for their lives. The battle line collapsed in an instant, causing every soldier on the Zerg Queen's side to exclaim in surprise, and then started chasing the fallen dog. The number of casualties became obvious in an instant, and the partial division on the other side quickly integrated into the entire battle circle. Joining forces with the main army commanded by Jia Yan, the efficiency of the pursuit was more than doubled. However, Jia Yan did not participate in it anymore. Instead, he flew to the partial army and saw their leader. Haha, you guys arrived just in time. It's not that we were in time, but Commander-in-Chief, your strategy is good. Just now we were fighting against the top of the middle level 3 galaxies. It really opened my eyes. The leader of the partial division was naturally one of the two top mid-level galaxy seniors who were entrusted by Jia Yan to lead the army. Now seeing that this battle has turned into a one-sided victory for his side, he is also very happy for Jia Yan's plan. If it were not for this formation that can quickly return to defense and support, he must have wanted to come over to support, and he would not be so quick. Of course, these are just certain formations and tactics that are very basic in war. In actual practice, it depends on the ability to mobilize troops and generals, as well as logistics, the combat effectiveness of the reinforcements, and the resistance on Jia Yan's side. If the ability was weaker, Jia Yan would probably be dead before they could come for reinforcements. So what's the use of the best formation? Therefore, the results of the battle are affected by many aspects. How can one judge whether it is good or bad with just one strategy? But for now, Jia Yan's strategic formation has played a real positive role, so he is right to praise it. But I just saw that the team of another domain lord force seems to be ready to move, so you should gather your troops quickly and return to the original position. They must be preparing to do some tricks. Jia Yan did not say anything more to this powerful man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, but expressed his own opinion. Huh? That guy Maggot also wants to sneak up on us and give us a hard time, isn't he? Well, then I'm going back. If something really happens, I'll ask you to come to the rescue. Okay. I'm lucky, Senior. After Jia Yan finished talking to the strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, he saw that the other party was not sloppy at all, so he called on his troops and retreated to the original flank. It's just that this attack didn't take place, because the maggot creature saw that the war conducted by Commander-in-Chief Hairtail ended in failure so quickly. In desperation, it understood that one of its own troops would not accomplish anything, so it gave up. Solo sneak attack strategy. This battle can be said to be a revenge for the Zerg Queen's secret crossing of Chenkang. The effect of revenge is simply to make people laugh out loud. Not only did the enemy's morale suddenly collapse, but the Zerg Queen's BN also became more motivated because of this war, knowing that although he and others were outnumbered, they still had the same fighting power as when they fought against these two major forces a few years ago. This is the view that everyone among the Zerg Queen's forces firmly believes is more powerful than these pleasure-seeking forces in the central star field of the galaxy. In fact, this view had been shaken before. After all, the enemy army gradually showed its original strength in several years of war. The Zerg Queen's forces, which were already small in number, gradually came under pressure. So, only then did the big guy think of retreating. But this battle allowed them to find their feelings again. What about people from wild lands? So what if our fighting style is too brutal? So what if our routine is too primitive? As long as we can beat you and our so-called orthodox fighting skills and inheritance, then we are great. All of a sudden, there were triumphant voices everywhere within the entire front. This battle is actually not as good as imagined. However, in the dark fog of the general command position, Jia Yan got first-hand information and let out a long sigh. Contrary to the jubilation of the strong men outside, after seeing the number of casualties and the comparison with the enemy, he knew that it was not so optimistic. In this war, more than 10,000 strong troops of our army died, while the corpses left by the enemy were only about 20,000. The number of casualties on both sides was 1 to 2. But don't forget, this number, 2 or 3 years ago, would have reached 1 to 5, or even 1 to 6, so that the troops of the two major domain lord level forces had to join forces, but now, it has become a forced 1-for-2 situation. This is still a situation where I am holding back a high-end combat power. If I can only hold down one strong person at the top of the mid-level galaxy, or hold down 2 people, it will be a big accident for the entire battle line. Jia Yan can see that the inheritance is long-lasting, and the power of the galaxy central star region is indeed worthy of being the galaxy central star region. Even though these two major forces are just fringe forces in the central star field of the Milky Way, they are still dragging down the Zerg Queen's force to the point where it is almost difficult. Now that we have recovered from the unreasonable war situation, we will gradually be invincible. He knew very well that if the situation continued like this, not to mention 1 against 2, or even 1 against 1, the Zerg Queen's force would gradually be defeated or even destroyed due to the small number of people and strong men. This is also why the Zerg Queen and others decided to leave this area where the war was in full swing. It is said that after being in one place for a long time, I want to change places and see the prosperous central star field of the Milky Way. In fact, I am being beaten away. If I don't run away, my entire army will be annihilated. Find bookstore. But it will take a year or two for them to fully utilize what they have mastered. We will definitely leave by then. As for whether these two forces will have good combat effectiveness by then, if it spreads around, we can't control it. Jia Yan smiled and put the information away. He doesn't care about the casualties, as long as they don't kill him so much that he can't command the enemy. Okay, now that the war has come to an end, let me continue my practice. These two forces must have been frightened by this battle, and they will definitely not have any thoughts of attacking again for a while. I can make good use of this after a period of time. I can fully utilize the experience and gains I have just fought. The purpose of Jia Yan's battle was to gain experience. In the process of fighting the three powerful men, he finally forced them to use their good abilities. As a result, he now only feels that he has countless thoughts and wants to verify, test, research, etc. As long as the research yields results, he will truly become a strong man who is at the peak of the galaxy intermediate level in terms of both combat strength and foundation. This is a very important matter for Jia Yan. After all, it is for these reasons that he came to take over the Commander-in-Chief's baton. Hey, it seems that these three guys have brought me more things than I imagined. They are really my lucky stars, so next time, give them a little more surprise. While Jia Yan was practicing, he looked back at these three people who used illusions, brute force, or unique fighting talents to gain a lot of experience when they fought with him. He felt very good. Then, thinking about how to repay others. Please come to Cheateon.com to subscribe, thank you. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2165. Is it rude to come and go without reciprocating? That's what it means. Jia Yan felt that he was not a stingy person. The strong men under the commander-in-chief of the hairtail fish had brought him a lot of experience and knowledge, so he himself had to give him a lot of combat experience and knowledge in return. He believes that he should not hide it in the future, but use all the combat power he has so that the other party can see it. Yes, it's just that I've reached the time when I'm almost able to digest these battles and figure out certain fighting skills. I definitely don't want them to give me tricks. I'm not that kind of person. I just want to give back to others. Jia Yan thinks that he is still a good and upright person. Damn it. This Jia Yan is simply a bad guy who is so disgusting that he has a bad heart. However, it seems that the enemy side of him, who considers himself a good person, has a different view. This Jia Yan, who just returned from the outer star field, first killed a weak middle level and below galaxy team from our forces, just to bully the small ones, and then on the way to his appointment, he fought with several of our forces. We started a battle at each position, and once again used foul power to suppress and even kill several of our galaxy-level frontier commanders. Forget it, but a person like him, a newly promoted newcomer, actually dared to reach the center of the battlefield. He was arrogant and ignored and ridiculed us, the middle-level peak powerhouses of the galaxy who were obviously his seniors. Later, he even took advantage of the rules and played with us again and again to improve his own strength. This was simply contempt. The domain masters of our two major forces. So I suggest that we jointly submit a letter to the domain owners of our two families to request that this Jia Yan be excluded from the immunity of the middle-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy. Otherwise, once such a person becomes a climate, it will cause harm to our future wars. The impact is difficult to predict. The commanders-in-chief of the two enemy forces silently listened to the words of the injured Armstrong person below, and their expressions were inconsistent. The fish-haired creature obviously agreed with the words of the strong man with strong arms, but as the commander-in-chief, it was difficult for him to say certain words. But on the other side, the commander-in-chief of the maggot creatures, who had not been seriously injured when he besieged Jia Yan last time and escaped unharmed, had a different expression. Their force did not suffer much loss in the battle with Jia Yan. The existences of the Zerg Queen's force used all their strength to grab resources in the last line of defense, which did not have much to do with their force. Therefore, this time war, for them, is actually not that relevant anymore. As a result, the maggot creature's expression did not have the slightest hint of wanting to deal with Jia Yan. Instead, it was just coping with the situation, hoping that this meeting would end soon. "How's it going? Maggot, although our proposal here can't be said to be very good, but that's what I mean. Next time we can plan a more ruthless battle against the Zerg Queen's forces, otherwise Jia Yan will definitely come back. Keep on being arrogant." The hair-tail creature also clearly saw it, and the maggot creature's attitude began to be strange. It didn't seem like it wanted to negotiate a joint agreement with them. But he still asked about joining forces. Just as he imagined, the maggot creature looked a little hesitant after hearing this. Of course Jia Yan is extremely hateful, but the fighting mood within our force seems to be low recently. My defeat last time had a greater impact on their morale. Let's do this. I'll ask again when I go back, and I'll also ask about our family. Lord Territory Lord, if he wants us to fight, then we will fight. If not, I can't help it. Brother, our relationship is still very happy, and I don't want to make things worse. If it doesn't work, don't do it. Angry. Hearing the words of this maggot creature, the commander-in-chief of Hairtail felt extremely cold in his heart. Okay, I understand, brother, just do your best. After a wry smile, the two parties broke up unhappy. Sir, these maggots are definitely not willing to cooperate with us anymore. They are just bastards. When I found out that the Zerg Queen's forces were working on energy in the rear, I also found out that people in their forces were secretly laughing at us. It seems that our cooperation ends here. The mid-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy with strong arms had a sinister look on his face. He cooperated with the commander-in-chief of his family and acted out a scene of rage and humiliation. However, unexpectedly, the other party still refused to give him face and refused to continue the war with the Zerg Queen's forces. Well, if we think about this matter rationally, we know that Maggot cannot be too helpful to us. After all, they have no interest disputes. If it were us, it would be impossible for us to continue to work hard. It seems that the next it's up to us to decide. After the hair-tail creature looked grim for a while, it looked away. It's no good if you don't look away. Their forces have begun to have no interest issues. How can they continue to have more entanglements with the Zerg Queen's forces? It doesn't matter if people die, just for the so-called alliance. God knows when the Zerg Queen really escapes, will the two forces start fighting immediately? So his attitude is very normal. If it were a hairtail in his position, he would definitely do the same thing. The only problem is that the hairtail creature thought about several points at the moment, and then felt helpless. It's true that he also wants to deal with the Zerg Queen's army led by Jia Yan, but it can't be done alone. Although the Zerg Queen's force as a whole may not be able to compare with his army, it has been able to deal with the coalition of the two major forces before. It was simply impossible for him to take the fish and defeat the Zerg Queen army led by Jia Yan in one go. The biggest threat is Jia Yan himself. That guy, after this battle, gained our combat experience, and he is probably thinking about how to absorb it now. Damn it, if someone gives you a pillow if you are sleepy, it's us, right? Hairtail really hates it, why he couldn't hold back during the previous fight and showed so many fighting skills to Jia Yan, and then Jia Yan, who was already troublesome, quickly became stronger again. Having had similar experiences, they understood that Jia Yan would master everything in a very short period of time and then reach a higher level of strength. In fact, it's not that they taught Jia Yan, it's just that they let Jia Yan see how the strong men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy would fight. Once he saw this kind of fighting, he would use his existing fighting skills. Fused to the level of the mid-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy, the strength will naturally increase immediately. At that time, these local strongmen were taught by the territory lord in person, and then they also asked other local middle-level peak powerhouses to let them appreciate the secrets of the middle-level peak of the galaxy. Therefore, they improved quickly at first, just because it was not an actual battle, so it lacked a bit of flavor. As a result, when a group of bandits from the Zerg Queen's side attacked, they couldn't even defeat them 3 against 1 at the beginning. But the people in the Zerg Queen's force are different. During this year, the people in the Zerg Queen's force were not very familiar with the fighting methods of the Milky Way's central star field at the beginning. They don't dare to fight if they test each other. But soon, after several battles, all the strong men of the Zerg Queen's force took turns to join the battle, and they suddenly became familiar with the feeling of fighting against the strong men of the central star region of the Milky Way. Even the Zerg Queen was among the first. In the first battle with the Domain Lord creature from the 2 major forces, I realized the combat skills. What followed was a long period of suppression. It was not until recently that the Domain Lord creatures from the 2 major forces gradually mastered the integration of combat skills into that feeling in a real fight. This is not to say that the central star field of the galaxy is inferior to those of the Zerg Queen's force. It just means that the manpower of these 2 major forces has not yet reached the level of the Zerg Queen's force. If the people of the Zerg Queen's force really use the 2 major territorial lord forces on these 2 borders as a criterion, it is estimated that if they attack other places and encounter real difficulties, they may die without knowing how. After all, the so-called prosperity of the central star region of the Milky Way is mainly based on the value of force. Strong men and real fighters emerge in endlessly here. With the abilities of these gangsters who came from the countryside, they were lucky enough to encounter them here. 2 ordinary border forces, otherwise if they meet a really powerful one, it will not be a 1-on-3 fight by the Zerg Queen's force, but a 1-on-3 fight by others, and they may encounter a crisis of destruction in an instant. Of course, the people in the Zerg Queen's force already know how powerful the galaxy's central star region is. The selection of these 2 major Domain Lord forces was done after many investigations. Otherwise, how would they dare? So if they break into a powerful force, presumably he would not dare to attack others. Anyway, with the amazing ability that Jia Yan showed at the moment, the hairtail creature felt a huge headache. In fact, if possible, he would like to send away these guys from the Zerg Queen's forces as soon as possible. The grudges are unclear to both sides until now. It is certain that the Zerg Queen's force has the upper hand, but their family has a big business and can afford to lose. The hairtail creature just doesn't want the Zerg Queen's force to continue to be here, so that there's just a blemish on his record. Forget it, let me think of a way. It really doesn't work. Remember what I said last time, do our adults have a certain friendly relationship with another Domain Lord level force next door? I must offer them some benefits on the condition that they give them some benefits. They will be very willing to take action. After the hairtail creature looked sinister for a while, he mentioned this point. No way, Commander-in-Chief, if we want to ask those guys to take action, our forces must be bleeding heavily. They have also been fighting with us for a long time. How can they take action without any benefit? The few galaxy-level powerhouses below immediately felt incredible at what he said. A commander-in-chief leading troops to fight actually said such words that wanted to lure wolves into the house. They did not dare to admit it. But the words spoken by the hairtail creature made their hearts move slightly, and they thought it made sense. Hey, this is where you can't be the commander-in-chief, but I can be the commander-in-chief. Think about it, our current combat effectiveness has improved a lot after 2 years of fighting against the Zerg Queen's forces. Let them come help us weaken part of the power of the Zerg Queen, but we have not said that we will not start a war with them in the future. If a war starts, with our current combat capabilities, do you think that force will spit out everything it has swallowed? If the strength of their domain lord has not improved in recent years, at the rate of improvement in the strength of our domain lord, even. At this point, everything was said without saying anything. The strong men below were all in high spirits, and their faces showed thinking or joy. Of course, what the hair-tail creature said needed to be approved by the territory lord behind them. Otherwise, if he dared to make a decision on such a big matter by himself, he would probably be close to death. The turbulent war is often unpredictable, which is extremely stressful for those who are involved in the war, or even key figures in the war. It's just that other people are under great pressure. Is it Jia Yan's pressure too? So. He originally had an indifferent attitude towards this war. After all, he had always been on the edge of the Zerg Queen's power, and his sense of identity was not that strong. He just wanted to attach to it casually. It felt like it didn't matter if he didn't have any attachment. There is no pressure in this kind of mentality, and practitioners can hardly tell where it is. Very good. I have analyzed a lot of the battle insights from the previous battles. At the same time, because they are strong men with different attributes, and there are even relatively rare illusion company talents among them, to me, this is the biggest training. Next, I can study how to deal with hallucinations, how to deal with strong brute force people, and how to deal with unique speed talents. In fact, there are several battles worth studying before. My actual shortcomings have almost been made up, and the road to improvement is already in front of me. Jia Yan came back from the practice with great satisfaction, and then felt the direction of his own energy adjusting with joy. At this moment, he was not carrying out ordinary training, but instead focused on the fighting tendencies and energy methods of the mid-level enemies in the galaxy that he felt during the few battles, and turned to deal with these powerful ones. Don't underestimate just a few battles, but these battles are very, very important for a powerhouse who has just been promoted to the top of the middle-level galaxy. Especially Jia Yan has seen so many different types of powerhouses. Styles, so that while increasing energy, you can adjust various ways to deal with these styles. The overall direction is correct, and he will no longer be afraid of similar strong men in the future. This adjustment will even affect his future path as a territory lord, and even the path to high-level galaxy. It can be said to be extremely important. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com